Welcome to the special public meeting of May 3rd, 2022 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers on April 22nd, 2022, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, Electronic Message Board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Super.
Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Here.
Councilman Sears.
Here.
Councilwoman Velez.
Here.
Council President Morgan.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance: Peter Calamari, Mayor; Robert Tovo, Township Administrator; Susan Witkowski, Township Clerk. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss 95 Linwood Ave. General public comment. To participate in the general public comment portion of the meeting, please click on the link below to join the webinar. If by phone, *9 to raise your hand, by *6 to unmute. Each person wishing to address the council shall give his or her name and the home address for the record. And we ask that only one person speak at a time with a 5-minute limit. Speakers are to direct all questions to the council president. When the speaker is finished with questions or statements, the council will respond. All members of the public and council are expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted, and the council president will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate further comments. Motion to open public comment.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anyone like to come up? Okay.
Mary Mia Paranis, New Jersey.
Your
Again,
address, please.
805 Highland Avenue.
Thank you.
My main concerns are the traffic, the road, school, bus routes of the multiple towns, not just our town, not just your town, Paramus and Ridgewood. There's school children, there's buses going up and down that road. The noise ordinance, supposedly that was effective 2015 years ago about trucks. They wouldn't allow trucks to go up and down that route, and now all of a sudden you're going to put a depot in there with trucks. It's a county road. The maintenance out of it comes out of the county budget, so that's not just affecting Washington Township's money, but it's affecting all the town's money. The logistics. Who did a logistics analysis? Was there a logistics analysis done? And was there best practice done? Most towns have it centralized. I made this comment earlier, like Glen Rock, who's a small town as yours, and they have theirs by the town pool. It's also not a pleasant way to welcome people to Washington Township or to New Jersey in general. People come in from the highway, from the Parkway, and the first thing they see is a depot. The location affects multiple towns, like I said earlier, and you have other locations. And also there's a rumor that the plumbing in Charlie Brown's is Paramus Plumbing. So I think that should be noted. So it's not just going to affect, again, Washington Township. It affects my plumbing by being a Highland Avenue. That's all I have.
Thank you. So is there anyone, are we aware of a noise ordinance
Could be.
that was
Wastewater goes to
2015, I believe?
20 to 15 years ago.
Oh, 20 to 15 years ago. Mr. Tovo, are we aware of any noise ordinance that would block trucks from being able to,
There's nothing in any noise ordinance that would prevent a government entity from performing their duties.
okay. And before we even get started, I just want to, I think I mentioned it in the general public comment section. we're going to try to conduct this meeting as appropriate and, you know, civil as we can so that we can hear everybody's thoughts and concerns and we can really take it into consideration. If it does get out of hand, I'm going to stop it. So I would like, you know, I want to hear you. We all want to hear you. We are taking notes. We're listening, but I cannot have, you know, I just, the mumbling in between, the cross-talking, all of that, we're just going to hear everything we can. We can get through it a lot easier if everybody is, you know, handling it with civility. So that being said, is there anyone else who would like to come up?
May I ask Mr. Tovo, is there a specific exemption for municipalities with that ordinance and ours specifically?
Depending on the town that you're referring to, there might be a specific exemption, but generally by New Jersey law, to carry out legitimate government function like police sirens or the center trucks would not be excluded because of a noise ordinance.
So there's a state ordinance that says it would be
No,
they're
the
excluded.
state law that must allow a municipality to operate and meet the needs of the residents. So you have to plow roads or police, ambulance, fire to respond to calls. What they do may violate a noise ordinance, but it's what must be done.
Okay.
And that applies to all towns, correct, Mr. Chairman, not just Township?
Correct.
If there is a question that we can't answer and our attorney would need to answer it, I will have him come up on Zoom and after we break. So we'll be able to answer some of those questions.
Desiree, Mayor.
Yeah.
We also ran this past the county, and their only requirement was that we move the entrance and exit to be directly across from Highland. They did not like that, you know, it was offset slightly. So they've reviewed it already, and that was their only comment.
I'll just speak to the centralized location that you're speaking of. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity to have multiple sites that we can choose from. There's really no centralized location. I do wish we were in a better position like the town you're speaking of to be able to just pick the most centralized location and do that. So unfortunately, that's not an option. And then the plumbing in Charlie Brown's, I am not, has anyone heard that? I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, well, water and sewer would be provided by Paramus, but we would pay the bill.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up?
My name is Nicholas Papson. I live on Andrea Lane in the township. I haven't been to any of your meetings recently because I've been away and I'm kind of surprised because I received this notice. But I have several questions. Because what is the estimated cost of the acquisition of the property that we're talking about?
We'll answer everything when you're all,
Okay.
I don't want to take up your 5
I
minutes.
also would like to know the estimate cost of building a facility on that property or enhancing the current facility on that property. And what is going to be the prorate to each household and the allocation to each business for purposes of taxes that may be incurred as a result of this particular expense? And what is the plan for locating the current, I guess, sanitation department from where it currently is? Now, I'm going to proffer a question to you. Hopefully that helped me in one fashion or another fully understand. My assumption being is I have a home worth $1 million, for example. And in a few months after you relocate and do all these things, I elect at the 2 years out, I'm going to sell my property and it's now only worth $900,000 because of what you've done with respect to this new acquisition and property. And therefore, I now want to know the loss of value. Is the township going to stand as a surety for my loss? Are they in turn going to find a way to remunerate me? Because if I sold it now, I sell $1 million, but I'm going to lose $100,000. And will there be any reduction in my taxes since my value has gone, for example, from 100,000 to 900, and let's say for purposes of taxes, my value is currently $700,000, and therefore there's a $300,000 difference. But when it's at 900,000, it's only 200,000. When can I expect a reduction in taxes based on the evaluation? Following that, I'm proposing here that in the event this project goes through, that each household, at the expense of the town, get estimates of the current value so we can have a base upon which you could allocate the difference of the sale and the price. And with what assurances are we going to have from this council that as a result of the expenses that you're going to incur from all this relocating and moving, that we are not going to get any increases for at least several years from our current rate? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tovo, Mr. Mayor, are there any answers for this gentleman?
The cost of the land acquisition is $1.35 million. The cost of the building, bear in mind, there are two options we're looking at here. One is a DPW, one is a police department. Therefore, the numbers do vary, and the numbers are by no means concrete as of yet. Regarding any surety for the town, regarding the value of your property, that's a question only tax assessor or the attorney could answer. And as far as a tax reduction, that again would be based on either a town-wide reevaluation or you asking for a reassessment from the assessor.
You haven't answered all the questions.
Those are all the ones I can answer as of right now.
You don't even know the cost of the budget?
Oh, we're going to speak from the, that's okay. Speak from the podium when you're ready to come up. You can, if you want to come up and speak from the podium and ask the question, you can. Okay. I'm sorry, before, you can come up, but was there a question for the attorney, did you say? Because Mr. Pollard said that he could be available if we needed him.
Yeah, the question based on the township providing surety, something only the attorney should answer.
Okay.
Or
I'm just
the
going to make a
assessor.
list of questions that we will then call him if there's enough of a, a list. Okay. Name and address, please.
Yeah, my name is Kenny Buckler. I live at 819 Highland Avenue, Paramus. And jumping on this gentleman's question, what about the people in Ridgewood and Paramus? Who's going to take care of us? You're putting that right in our face. And I asked this question the last time I was here, and I didn't get an answer to it, so I'll ask it one more time. And I'd like to ask it of all of you, that if they were putting this DPW in front of your nose, how would you vote on it? Very simple. Anybody want to answer that?
Are you done with your 5
I
minutes?
am.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr.
I wouldn't like it,
Thank you.
and I would not approve of it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
I would be for it because the town needs it and if it benefits the residents of the town. Actually, there's a house for sale in the area that my husband and I are thinking about buying. So yes, I would be for it.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. Yes.
Right. Right. I'm sorry, there's a format we have to follow, and it's Robert's rule. Everything has to be directed toward me, and then I will disseminate to them after you're in your seat. I know, it's how it is. So if any of the council would like to answer, you can, but it's up to you. You don't, that's up to you.
For myself, if it was a building that housed garbage, then I would be opposed. But the DPW currently does not transport garbage, so I would be in favor of it. if, again, if it benefited the majority of our residents.
And I can say that I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I was saying initially that I think if it was a beautiful building, I wouldn't have an issue with that. I am taking into consideration the traffic area, all the traffic that is causing. I think if knowing all of the areas that we've looked at and knowing all of the reasons why it couldn't go in all of those areas and having all of that at my disposal and knowing that reason, I may have to learn to be okay with it. I don't know that I'd be thrilled. I wouldn't be looking for the house next to it, but I think if it came up, I wouldn't be looking to move either. Because again, we did say if we were going to put the DPW there, we would do everything in our power to shield it from your view, anyone looking at it. But I know that only addresses the aesthetics of it and not the operational issues that it may cause. So I know it's kind of a wobbly answer, but that's the most honest answer I can give you.
Thank you, Council President. I'm in favor of it. The town needs it. We have the space, and we should do it.
Maybe everybody here also needs to know that there's two plans on the floor right now, that it's not, maybe not everybody's aware of that.
Everyone's aware that there are two plans that we're discussing? Oh, okay. All right. Good point, Council Vice President. So, Mr. Mayor, should we, before we take questions, so that there's going to be a lot of questions after as well, and some of the people that were up may want to come up and ask again. Should we discuss what's up here currently?
I'm happy to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, if I go down.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a mic there. So.
The microphone is definitely made.
And our apologies. I thought you guys were made aware. I wasn't sure what you knew about the other option.
By the way, thank you all for being here. We do appreciate everyone coming out. This is the second plan. I apologize that the first plan that just has the DPW at the site, those posters are not here tonight. But this is a plan that we came up with after listening to the residents' concerns. And so it involves leaving the DPW at the location here where it used to be. So for those of you who may or may not be familiar, the DPW garage used to be here. And so we're saying put a new garage here that will house a great many of their vehicles, give them a minimal amount of office and storage space, park some of the trucks here. By the way, just to orient, this back wall here is borders Valley Bank, so now no residential. We would put a salt dome here. Right now, our ambulance building is on site, but in a few months, they're moving out of that building to the new building on Washington Ave. It enables us to do angled parking, and also with moving the police out of this location, it opens up a great deal of parking that we need, because if you come here even on an average day right now, the parking lot's full with just the employees and a few visitors. Our senior center is here. Whenever they have meetings, there's virtually no parking. They have to park on the street. The employees do try to park on the street to let the seniors have the priority spots. But it's just, it's not good. So this plan, leaves our DPW at this location, and we feel it's a viable plan. What would happen is, I'll get to that in a moment, but I'll just, this doesn't have any office space for the DPW people. They would take the existing police office space and use that for their administrative offices. And now, I'll jump over here. This is what a police building would look like at the Charlie Brown's location. So it has plenty of room for all their employee parking. We would put all their police vehicles here, a few sheds for the equipment they need, barricades, things like that. For those of you, it gives them a sally port, which they don't currently have, which a lot of people don't know. A sally port is just like a garage, but when you're bringing a prisoner in, you don't want to let them go outside. So the police cars ideally pull into this garage sally port. That way the prisoner's in an enclosed spot that they can be taken inside the building for processing. So, two just very overview plans. In addition, because we did hear the residents, they came out the first few meetings. We had something like this in mind for a few years down the line because also our police have run out of space. So, we knew we'd have to do something for them a couple years down the line. It accelerates spending, but in my opinion, it solves a great problem for everyone who's here. And, it helps the police get what they need, helps the DPW get what they need. And so to answer the question that all the council members answered already, I echo what most of them said, that I would understand the original DPW plan for the greater good. But I think this police station, we've really thought about outside the box, and I think this solves a great many of everyone's concerns. Probably doesn't, answer all of them, but I think it's a great many as far as you wouldn't have, diesel trucks going in and out, during snowstorms. The activity wouldn't be any different. The only downside I see, yes, of course, it's a 24-hour operation, but for the number of cars that would come and go during off hours, they would always use the main entrance onto Linwood. They would not use the one for Hemlock unless there was an emergency where they couldn't come or go from here. So personally, I think this is a great plan, but it does, for our taxpayers, I'm going to say it would accelerate some spending that we were looking to do down the line. So that's I'm going to say Plan B. Plan A was putting the DPW at the site. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, with that being said, does anyone wish to come up and, come on. Who?
Good evening. Maria Elena Bellinger, 761 Paramus Road in Paramus. As a councilwoman in Paramus, I'm here to voice my concerns. I know you're in receipt of a resolution that we sent ahead of this meeting. While I appreciate you hearing the concerns of your residents, us finding out about a project from your residents was something we would have liked to have been a part of the conversation. I realize you don't have to. I understand, obviously, how government works. I'm in your seats for 11 years now. That being said, though, that location has a great impact on our residents. And I think it is something that would be important, neighborly, so be it, but the impact in that location with the traffic, with everything else, is something where I would just like to be part of the conversation, our professionals as well as yours. I realize a lot of you up there can't answer the logistics of some of the questions in terms of the traffic engineers and whatnot, but it's necessary that not only your engineers weigh in on how it will impact your residents, but that our engineers have the opportunity to do so as well. You also spoke to the fact that you've spoken to the county. I guess my question would be, who have you spoken to at the county? We also sent our resolution over to them, and I have had numerous conversations with the freeholders, or with our county executive and the freeholders, to get a better understanding of what can be done on their level to help us mitigate, if you move forward with either of these plans, mitigate the impact on not only your residents, we have Ridgewood residents as well who are affected. I don't know if there's anyone here from that municipality, but we have 3 municipalities who are going to be affected by that. So I have had conversations with the county. So I'm curious to hear that the only concern they had was moving the entrance. I understand that's a high traffic. Not far from there. I go through that road all the time. But it's not just about having the straightaway for a traffic signal or whatever. I think whichever plan you move forward with, I would like all the residents heard. I know you're here to represent Washington Township, but we need to also consider how this impacts Paramus as well as Ridgewood. So thank you for hearing them.
Thank you.
The only thing I'll respond to your question about who at the county, I don't have a specific name because our engineer reached out to them, and so I don't know who the engineer dealt with at the county. I can find out if you want.
Yeah, like I said, I just think it's important that all our engineers are at the table when it's discussed.
Right. Is there anyone else who would like to come up?
Yes. My name is George Quintana. I'm a councilman in Paramus. And I've been on Highland Avenue, 806 Highland, for 29 years. I was totally surprised to have found out through neighbors distributing mail by hand. And I don't think this is how business should be conducted. I know that you can do it because it's business, it's government business. But we got a lot of people here that are very upset, very upset. We hold meetings all the time. We have a petition that we have close to 700 people that have signed it. I saw, Mr. Mayor, I saw the video that you did. I thought it was very nice, nicely done. And I just saw a vote from the council that according to the vote, this is going through because they just proved it. There's only one person, him, that he voted against. Now, I don't understand. Is the plan that we're talking about, is the police department the one that they just voted for? Or is it the DPW, or both, or either one? Now, it's very confusing. I don't want to talk into, definitely, I'm a real estate agent also, besides being a councilman in Paramus. Property values are going to go down 100%. It's not about the ratables and the property values. Highland Avenue, I have lived there for 29 years. It's very easy for anybody in the council to say that they don't live in an area where the DPW is going to be. You need to feel for the people, because the people here are angry. They're very upset. We have placed over, thanks to my friend right here, over 100 long signs in Washington Township and in Paramus. We actually had installed, with permission of Charlie Brown's, a sign, a banner in front of the building, and it was taken down. I had to be taken down by Washington Township. It has to be, because no one else in our neighborhood would have done that. And I know that we already checked. We called the police, and they said that they don't know anything about it. And we got permission from Charlie Brown's, and we have put up the sign again, another one. So we want everybody to be aware. It so happens that this particular banner had the date of tonight's meeting, and it was removed very conveniently. And I'm making accusations. I'm just saying how things did happen. Our petition, once again, is close to 700 people and growing. I would be more than happy to tell you, and this is from different ideas of people in town, that we are willing to compromise with the mayor, but the vote is already here. They already voted. Compromising because we would love to see the police station right on where the site of Charlie Brown's is. We will support the police. We will support the town. My kids live in town. My son, my daughter-in-law, 3 grandkids. They play baseball, soccer in town. I'm always here in town. And I know a lot of the residents are here. Now, they know me. And I want what is best for the town. And also now that I'm a councilman in Paramus. Mayor, we will support you. And we will support the police in Washington Township, not the DPW. Thank you.
Thank you.
Desiree, can I respond?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for speaking. However, you said you were not making accusations, and then you accused the sign coming down by Washington Township. So you said two different things. I can tell you unequivocally, the township had nothing to do with removing that sign. As soon as it was down and it was brought to my attention, I reached out to both the DPW and our code enforcement officials. They knew nothing about the sign coming down. I cannot say where and who took it down, but I can tell you who did not. It was not the township who took it down. I am a big believer in free speech, and there's no way I would allow a sign to come down, even though I may not agree with it, which in this case I do. People are free to, express their opinions. If you got permission from the owner, so be it. That's great. Also, we did not take a vote up here just now. Someone asked us if we would mind living by it. That is far from a vote. Because we don't even say what we're voting for. There's already two plans out here. There's one to put the DPW, one to put a police department. So we did not take a vote. We are far from a vote. We're here to listen to everyone's concerns, and we're not rushing this through. So it was not a vote. Someone asked us to express our opinions. That's far from a vote.
Thank you.
Ms. Morgan, can I add to that?
Absolutely.
Please keep in mind that Plan A described by the mayor was a DPW building. But we listened to the concerns of the residents of our town and those who from the parameters that were aware of it, and we looked at other options. That's why this police department is now being presented to everyone to consider. So we appreciate your feedback, but we are listening.
Thank you. Council, anyone? Okay. Come on up.
Good evening.
Hi.
Paul Lamborato, 191 Linwood Avenue, Township of Washington. Is it okay if Bill hands out, I have an estimate and I have a drawing with the DPW so I don't lose any time on my 5 minutes?
Hands it out to whom?
All you guys?
That's fine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So as Bill is handing it out, I spoke with you guys 2 weeks ago. I gave you a back of the napkin estimate on the cost of the DPW. So as you guys know, I own a pretty large landscape construction company. I also do some development and construction management. So I went ahead and had my estimating department put a stronger estimate together. So the amount here is $7.6 million for the DPW. So my back of the napkin estimate of $7.3 million wasn't so far off. And that's just 36 years of doing business, right? So, so as you see here, it's a pretty detailed estimate. And I basically took the conceptuals, and as you have design professionals, when they're working for municipalities or they're working for developers, they basically can give a consensus of what the cost of a project is going to be. So that's where I took the liberty 2 weeks ago and took the conceptual and I put an estimate together just to support you guys because you weren't able to give us the amount of money that the building would cost. So here, this is prevailing wage costs, and the number for the DPW is $7.6 million. And once again, I don't have full drawings and so on and so forth. I am a resident. I'm not a professional to you guys, even though if you need my construction management services, I'd be more than happy to offer them to you. So moving along, I would just like to say thank you for changing this around from going from a DPW to the police station. You're going from a heavy commercial use to a heavy industrial use to a light commercial use. And I also applaud all of my wonderful neighbors here that have gotten up and rallied around not having a DPW there. And as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, we need a DPW. We need to operate in Washington Township like gentlemen and ladies, of course. But we really need to support our infrastructure in this town. I get it. I think the choice of a police station, as much people may not be too thrilled about that, I think it's the better use of the property. So I did this drawing just to reassure the discussion because the mayor was invited to my facility in Clifton. He had to cancel. I tried to get him there numerous times. I did not get much response, but I kind of laid it out on the drawing. Everything on this drawing basically tells you that how the DPW will not work. So it's designed to very easily understand I will send you guys emails. I will send the public emails so they also understand. And basically, the numbers are all corrugated so you could see the turning radiuses don't work, just all the costs and everything that I spoke about 2 weeks ago is not functionable for the DPW. And I'm going through this because I want to reassure that you guys don't change plans and gears and go back to the DPW. Because Ms. Velez says there's no garbage. There's recycling. Recycling is considered garbage. And really it's noisy and it's smelly, so there's a lot of things that you just have to put into perspective when it comes to a DPW. But if that is going to be 86th and taken off the table, that's a beautiful thing. It really is. And I really applaud you guys for coming up with the police station. As you know, I've been here for over 30 years. I supported every project that we built, and I've donated on every athletic field in this town. I've been a very big, thank you. I've been a very big part of this town. I love this town. I'm here to support you guys in any way. We appreciate the communication. Communication is very important with leaders. If leaders do not communicate, they cannot lead. It's very, very important. And Mayor, I really need you to communicate as much as you possibly can. We're all busy every single day, and we're here to help you. We're here not to knock you down. We're here to support you. Just ask for it, and we'll do it. So I appreciate your time. I wish you guys the best of luck. And once again, I welcome the police department. And as mentioned to everybody else, I think that's a better use for the facility. And I really would hope that they also kind of clean up the sidewalk, because one other thing I'm going to add, since now I'm talking as a resident. We need to get the sidewalk up to Parkway Court, and we need to get the sidewalk over the Parkway to, what is that, Ridgewood Avenue? So we don't have to go out onto Ridgewood Avenue. So if you could think about that during the construction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Toba, we don't currently collect the recycling in town. We farm that out.
That is contracted out, correct?
It is, so we are not storing the recycling,
We
correct?
are not.
Just to clarify.
Is your mic on?
Oh, yes, it is actually.
They can't hear you in the back.
So
Say that again.
I asked the administrator, Mr. Tobo, we currently do not store the recycling at the DPW. It is farmed out. We have a company come and pick it up and take it away. Recycling is not stored at the DPW. Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I'm just going to check with WCTV because I don't actually hear your echo.
It's on, right?
Yeah. Are you able to hear in the back everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll talk louder. I'm sorry. I didn't want to be screaming into the mic and then screaming at you, so. Okay, we'll try another one. Here we go.
Just you both.
Desiree, do you want to wait or can I respond?
Oh, no, go ahead. You
Okay.
can respond.
I appreciate Mr. Emberato and all the work he did in these presentations. However, I am going to point out that, let me say, our town architect and like that, I'm going to say at this point, they don't agree with you about the trucks not being able to turn around and like that. And so, with all due respect, I'm going to get an opinion from our town architects and see where that falls out. But, as you are professional, they are professionals. And so I want to just, confirm with them, so I appreciate you coming, everything you do for the town. But as far as, you saying this doesn't work for right now, I'm going to respectfully disagree.
All good. That's what life's all about.
All right, thank you. Just 1 second. WCTV says use both microphones. Use both.
Okay.
Okay, because you are coming in low, so. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to come up? Oh, come on up. Is there someone?
There's one. I was just going to tell you that.
Tony Plantamura, 808 Robinwood Road. I don't know. I'm sitting here listening. I didn't know also that a police department was being considered. I don't think a lot of people in this audience did. But I'm standing here as a taxpayer, And I'm sure it's really good for the Paramus people if you put a police department there, but with estimates of $7 million for DPW, I don't know what a police department would cost. But after the $6 million firehouse and the acquisition possibly of the swim club, I'm wondering, I'm trying to work out a deal with my daughter, and I'm probably going to get upset. My parents built a house in this town in 1956, and we projected, I've been trying to project the taxes in the next 5 years in this town. And I don't think she's going to be able to take over the house as a third generation that my parents built. And that really upsets me. So I'm sitting here thinking, wouldn't it be a novelty idea and an innovative idea where the Township of Washington leads and not build a DPW there, leave it here where it is. You can take over the police department, use it as whatever you can use that building as, expand on that, and merge the police department we have with another town. Because I am a former police officer from Paramus, first woman police officer in the county that had a suit to get on because there were no cops. And I know for a fact, being a police officer in Paramus in the 70s and 80s, that we are 10 square miles over there. Then I look at all the surrounding towns around us, and we're basically 1 square mile. And I keep asking myself, when is somebody in government at the county or state level going to start realizing that the township, that the taxes in New Jersey are never, ever going to come down, where the next generation of our children and grandchildren are going to be able to afford living in New Jersey without merging police, fire, and school districts. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to possibly have the Washington Township Police Department, where we're only 1 square mile, and there's nowhere the crime in this town that we had when I was a police officer in Paramus. And now it's much heavier there since I was there on the job. And I'm thinking that would be a really smart way to save money for taxpayers and be the innovator in northern Pascack Valley area to start doing what everybody knows that needs to be done for the next generation to live in this state, which is to merge police, fire, and school districts. And the sad thing on this note too is my son-in-law is a paid firefighter in Bergen County, and he cannot afford to take over my property with my daughter and my grandchild because he's not making enough as a paid firefighter. And I've had several firefighters in other towns down south too, where I have a condo, who are paid firefighters, and they cannot believe how much money was spent on this fire department here for volunteer firefighters. And I'm not taking anything away from any firefighter. I totally respect being a former police officer. I don't want that thrown in my face that I don't have any kind of heart for firefighters, police officers. I am a former police officer. My father was a Marine. I'm very patriotic. I hate this federal government right now, as a matter of fact, and I don't want to see a local government acting without concerns like the federal government does for its taxpayers and citizens. So just to take it one step further, I'd really like you to consider merging with another police department and doing something really innovative to afford the opportunity for my daughter and my grandchild to stay in New Jersey without all of us moving out.
May I make a comment? And
Yes.
not specific, Tony, but you've said something that a few other people have said, that you weren't aware of these plans. I just want everyone to know they were not finalized and put in this form until Friday morning. I have been working with the architect for 2 weeks since our last regularly scheduled council meeting on this. And I'm happy to say the architect bent over backwards to work with me. He put some of his other clients aside to get this done in such a timely fashion. But this didn't come to actual fruition until Friday. And at that point, it was posted on our website. on our social media pages. So again, we got the word out as quick as possible, but we have to do certain things in council meetings also. And so I really pressed him, and he did have them ready for tonight's special meeting. So I don't want anyone to think we were holding back on these plans. It took 2 weeks to put them together.
Okay, thank you.
Just in response, so shared services is a very interesting idea. Can everybody hear me since I'm talking again? I know, I'm short though, sorry. So shared services is always an interesting idea. So I've actually spoken to several towns and other people in the government region about shared services in general. So what happens with shared services is that in the beginning, there's a giant cost savings, but every year there's a cost per capita increase. Then if you have, we have, I get on my own microphone, little boy. Okay. You can do it from here. Okay. So we get an increase every year. If there's railroad tracks between the two towns, you still have to have one police department on one side or one fire department on one side and a fire department on the other side. So the cost of the town doesn't actually come down. It's a lovely concept. It's, and I do agree in the right situation, it works. Like for our current school district, we are shared. We share with Westwood, right? We don't share the elementary schools, but we share the middle school and we share the high school. And everybody currently is complaining about the cost of the school budget in Township. I'm not talking about Paramus. I'm not talking about everywhere else. I'm talking about Township. And that has been, correct me if I'm wrong, that's been a contentious conversation at the council meetings. What can we do about the school budget? The same thing happens when you get into shared services with the police. Township is also, we're not 1 square mile, we're 3.5 miles, which I know isn't huge, but to our residents and the response time that our police are able to provide to our residents and to support their surrounding towns is very important. And I will tell you that our police chief and the administration work very hard to keep the budget as trim as possible. And I'm sorry, I disagree. A $6 million firehouse that has not been updated. I think it was built, somebody's got to help me with the first year, 1950. Tom, 1953, a minor renovation, I think in 1971, right? And then having to use heavy sandbags to get the trucks in and out of the garages. I'm sorry, we needed to have a new firehouse. And that was something that was coming for a very, very long time. And I'm happy to say that as I'm sitting here, I'm in town my whole life. We needed a new firehouse, and we're able to now combine the fire department and the emergency services building so they can work together. I think that's a plus to our residents. So it's just my opinion, but based upon your comments, those are the facts. And you can ask any municipality in New Jersey who has now combined services like out west, they'll tell you the same thing. So.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Is there anyone else who would like to come up?
People, this is Tony.
Annette Dushura, 62 Edgewood Drive, Township. First of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Cassio for your honesty and your transparency in your responses. I'd also like to thank the mayor for actually trying to come up with an alternative plan that seems feasible in many ways. As far as the way the meeting started today, I do have to just have a little bit of admonishment here. I don't know how you can start a meeting like this and not have presented the plans to people who maybe were not aware of the plans. I would never run a meeting like that. I would never start without starting with some kind of foundation so that we know what we're talking about. And that was lacking. As far as the DPW being a, quote, beautiful building, impossible. It is a utilitarian structure. It houses 32-ton trucks. There's nothing beautiful about that. And I find it disingenuous and phony to say that you would be pleased to have that structure on your property. And just like you can have an opinion, I can have that opinion, and that is my opinion. I think it's disingenuous. And to say it's for the greater good, you have another option here. And I think that option is probably a stronger option for the greater good, not building an eyesore of a building, no matter how beautiful you think it is. I'll reiterate what I said in an earlier meeting. It's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. Finally, my question to you is, if you don't move the police department to the Charlie Brown's property, how do you plan to mitigate the problems that are being claimed to exist at the police department now? How would those be remedied if you do not move the police department? Do they just stay the way they are? How is that changed? Thank you.
Would anyone like to respond? Mr. Tovo, do you want to respond to any of that?
Yes, ma'am. The last comment regarding renovations to the current police department. While the size of the building might be adequate, the layout is not. And looking at this with our architect, we're estimating somewhere down the road, if not resolving it through this method, of at least a $2 million project to make that building what it needs to be. So that's the opinion of the architect, and I certainly have no reason to not believe that.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Just for
Tovar,
clarity, I'm sorry.
just a clarification with Mr. Tovar, you're saying $2 million for this project over here or to renovate here?
To renovate the police department here.
Where it is, that's what my
Correct.
question was going to
Thank
be. Okay.
Desiree, may I
Mhm.
comment? But for those who are out-of-town residents, I just want to, to the extent you're not very overly familiar with our town, we have nowhere else to put these facilities. People have mentioned taking some of our parks and fields to put these. I can tell you that's not going to happen. We have precious few parks and fields in town. Our recreation department can't handle all the requests they get for field time. So that's not going to happen. We don't have an industrial area like Paramus does have many. We are virtually 100% residential. So other than putting it here, which, is one of the plans, but then the police department has to go somewhere. This, I don't want to say it's the best location because that's open to everyone's interpretation, but it's almost the only place we have to put it. We don't have any, we just don't have any big pieces of property that can support anything like a DPW or a police station. So for those of I know our own residents know that for the most part. I don't know how many of you are here from Paramus or other towns. So I just wanted to put that out there is that, we are starved for open property in town. And, if we don't do something at the Charlie Browns, I want to say, almost that's not an option because we just don't have any place else to put it, in my opinion. Some other people may think differently, but that's my opinion. Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask everybody to please silence your cell phones. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to say? Oh, someone on the line? Okay. All right. Just 1 second. I'm sorry. We have someone who's been waiting on the phone. Go ahead.
No, I'll wait until the resident's done.
Did you have a?
No, I'll wait until the resident, the person online.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Mr. Patel, can you hear me? Mr. Patel?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Mahesh Patel. I live on Highland Avenue. 828 Highland Avenue is my address, which is just about 3 houses from your proposed project. And since the inception of this project, I've been looking around. By the way, my profession is a civil engineer, and I've been in construction for 52 years. The proposed site for a DPW, I never knew about the police station, but it was in the similar category anyway. If you look around that property, everywhere you'll see residential. I wonder how did you have an idea of putting up an industrial project into a residential zone? I do understand Mayor's concern, you don't have the land in this. I appreciate your concern about it, but Mr. Mayor, there's always a room for outsourcing your garbage to many companies who will pick up your garbage and dispose it in a location other than what you have proposed.
I'm sorry, are you complete with your questions or statements?
Yeah, I said any comments. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any comment? I'm not sure I heard.
I mean, if I understood him right, maybe he missed the earlier part of the meeting. We do not collect our own garbage. Each household right now contracts with their own provider in town. So we don't store regular household waste there. We do store grass, worst case overnight, because we pick that up from our residents, and other bulk items, but no household trash.
And that's the only one on there, right? Okay, thank you.
One more did come on, but you have that other gentleman.
Just a second. You can come on up, but Mr. Casio.
Okay. I can do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Bill McAuliffe, 58 Hemlock Drive. As you know, I've been here the last few meetings and my opposition to the DPW being located at Charlie Brown's. I appreciate the fact that you're, and Mayor, rethinking, coming up with the idea for the police station. I think it's a better option. It's not perfect, but it's a better option than the DPW by far, especially considering the traffic, which I deal with daily. And just to give you a quick idea, the last time I was here, I spoke about taking my children at 7:30 in the morning. I have to make the right and go through the back roads. Even at 5:30 tonight, I was trying to get to softball practice. You can't make a left. It's impossible. You could sit there for 20 minutes. But that's besides the point. And also, as you know, I'm the author of the petition that's got almost 700 signatures. I just have one question tonight. When can we expect a decision, a vote? I know you haven't voted. When will there be a vote on option plan B? That's my only question.
Thank you. Do we? God, you can answer.
Thank you. We are not making a quick decision on this. Like I said, the architect just got us these set of plans. I've been working with the architect a couple of weeks, but the council literally didn't see them till Friday either. We're not going to rush this, in my opinion. I think the council would agree. We're not going to rush this. We're going to vet everything. We haven't even gotten the cost estimates yet. So this is not something that's going to happen. I want to say for sure in the next month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. We're not going to rush it. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that, this is the best solution for the town, given the town's lack of open space for us to put things anywhere else. So that's my opinion. To the extent that the council either wants to agree or disagree, please do.
Thank you, Mayor. One person can answer.
Well, my question was basically, because, which I know I say this all the time, so you can't hear me. So basically now we're acquiring the property and we would work with the administration. They would need to let us know at what point we need to make a decision. So that's why I don't have a specific answer for you, because we have to take the lead from the administration, but I agree that we are not going to rush this. This hasn't been rushed. I know that there's been a few things said out there that this has been rushed, but it hasn't. Even if you want to take a look at the past meeting minutes, I hope that we're going to work together, and I know that's what we're currently doing, and listening to the residents about what the best option is. So please keep that in mind, that we are listening, obviously, if we're sitting here with two plans. So we're going to be working with the administration, and I'm sure you'll know when we're going to make the decision.
May I?
Well,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Dick.
No,
Okay.
go ahead, Steve.
I'm going to be the fly in the ointment, and I'm sorry. I'm going to be the fly in the ointment on the dais. Yes, sure. Thank you. I was never a fan of buying a property to begin with. Okay. I don't think it's the right place. I think most of our government should be centralized, whether it's a DPW, a fire department, or a town hall, or a police department. And I think especially a police department should be centrally located, just for access in and out of the town. We talk about how crucial it is for time when we have an emergency. If I'm traveling from the south end of Washington Township to the north end, I'm going to extend that trip a couple of minutes. There's no doubt about it. So we just acquired a township pool, okay, which is approximately how many acres?
6.1.
6.1 acres. And we're going to renovate that and hopefully make it a nice recreational facility. And my thought is, since we have a property that we are going to buy for $1.3 million, which hasn't been purchased yet, take that money, okay, renovate this room and that room into your police department, and we can hold our senior center down at this new facility in the future. Okay, so now we have room. We have a couple acres to do that. Okay, and I don't know why our architect did not decide to make a 2-story building if we're putting a building on the site that we just renovated because it was contaminated for a couple $100,000. So we can save $1.3 million not buying that site. Let another entity buy that. We're also losing tax revenue. We can have a nice senior center along with other recreation at our new site that we just purchased, and hopefully it doesn't cost us anything because we want to get that grant for
Right.
$700,000.
Right.
Okay, so we can save some money there, and then we can renovate this place. I know it's a lot cheaper to renovate something that we already have and build a new facility somewhere else. Again, that's just thinking out of the box. That's what I would do. I would look at that avenue. I know the mayor worked hard with his architect, doing whatever he was doing, but I think there's got to be a little bit more input into it and thinking outside the box. The township would save a lot of money. My taxpayers would save a little bit on their taxes. We can open up a revenue stream from a lot that was generating almost $35,000 in taxes every year, and that goes for a long time. When we talk about bonding things for 30, 40 years, someone's paying for it. It might not be me. I might be moving to Florida when I turn 65, but someone's going to be paying for it. And I think, as Tony said, we have to make our towns, Paramus, Ridgewood, Washington Township, Westwood, affordable for people to come into the town. They're not going to come into the town if it's unaffordable, and our taxes are going through the roof. I know that local taxes are, a problem for most families. I know most of the taxes are generated by our schools. We can't control that, but we control what we can control. So that's a plan that I foresaw. And again, I'm not in favor of buying the Charlie Brown's property. And I think we can look outside the box to do something else at a lesser price. So that's my 2 cents. Again, flying the ointment, but that's where I stand. Don't make me blush.
So, Council President, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
So I just want to make everyone aware. So this is my 3rd year on council, correct? So starting in 2020, right? 2020, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
We came in on the corona.
The administration came up with several other properties, several, way less expensive. I'm talking $1 million less expensive. Okay, which I was completely in favor for, no residential impact whatsoever. Okay, and I give props to the administration for coming up with these ideas. However, at the time, that council that sat here voted those options down. $1 million savings for a property that would not have residential impact. I just want to make you aware of that. Okay, plus there were other options, some shared services with another kind of a business in town, but there were other options floated. This is not the only option. They have been working on this for more than 2 years. I just want to make that clear that you don't think that this was just thrust upon any one of you. at all. And you can open the minutes and take a look at them. It's in the minutes from the previous meetings. So I just want to level set on that in that regard.
Is there anyone on the phone that needs to speak?
Can I
Yes,
say
there are.
one more thing?
Absolutely.
Sorry. To answer Mr. McAuliffe, in regards to when is this decision going to be made, I don't plan on making a decision until I see all the plans as well as all the numbers. That's when my decision will be made. There was no vote done now, and I'm not ready to make a decision without seeing everything. Thank you.
I'll piggyback off of that. I share Councilwoman Velez's statement. I need to see the numbers. I'm a taxpayer myself. I am, I'd like to see options even on top of this. So there will be no rush decision. My one concern is that I don't want to wait months because I don't want to, if there is a possibility that we don't have to buy Charlie Brown's property, I don't want to get locked into that after a certain point. So I definitely want to move a little quicker to come up with more options. So I'm not saying that there won't be more special meetings so that we can continue to discuss until we come up with something. I'm not looking forward to waiting months to make a decision. If we come up with the right decision, we don't need to wait months. So I want to keep that timeline in mind. But yeah, I definitely am not anywhere close to making a decision. I don't know if that comment we made earlier about whether we would live there or not live there, would we approve it, came off as a vote. It was more just of an opinion that someone had asked us for. So that being said, this is like I've been saying since the beginning, we are so far from a decision that we're working with you because it impacts us as well. We sit up here, but at the end of the day, my kids still ride bikes on the streets. My kids use the school. My husband and I pay taxes. We are in the same position as you. Unfortunately, we're tasked with knowing all the details of the whys where certain areas won't work. And it's a huge decision and we don't take it lightly. So just please, understand that.
You ready for someone on the phone?
Yeah. Did you have anything to say? I'm sorry. You look like
No,
you
not
wanted to say
really. I
something.
mean, you said it all. We're not in a rush for anything. I mean, we just saw these pictures. It'd be ridiculous for us to even make comments until we see the prices and the value of everything. But I am not in support of the police department going there. We're gonna need to find other options, and I'm pretty sure there might be other options out there that we should look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We can move to someone on the phone.
Ms. Kremen.
Or did you, Mr. Mayor, you look like you were going to say something now? Oh, okay. Who is it?
Ms. Kremen? Alina Kremen?
Ms. Kremen, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Good evening. My name's Alina Kremen, live at Washington Pond, neighbors with our mayor. So I'm glad that I'm speaking kind of later on in this meeting because it seems that there are other options besides just the police station or the DPW. And if I heard correctly, options that don't involve residential areas, period. I think as a homeowner and a resident of Washington Township, and the people here or, on the phone and live will agree that if there's an option that doesn't impact the residents, that would be the better option, especially if it's also $1 million cheaper or more or whatever. I think the DPW in a residential area is just an egregious decision. I'm more for the police station, but again, if that doesn't have to occur either, I'd like to hear all the options available. Furthermore, while I have the mic for a second, I also think in terms of traffic that there should be a traffic light put on the Linwood and Pascack corner just to make it easier to drive home in the evenings. But the DPW would so negatively affect everybody's property values. I'm right around the corner, and as a young family, I just had a baby. I agree with everything that everyone said so far about how this is just the wrong choice.
Thank you. Is there another person on the phone?
Desiree, just to clarify, just because I think there was a misconception. So the property I was referring to that would have been $1 million savings was for sale 2 years ago in Township, and that's the property. Not that there is a property for sale currently. There was a property that the administrator brought to the council, and the council voted it down. So 2 years ago, there was, when the remediation was underway and things were moving along, there was a property I think it was like April of 2020, and the council who was sitting here at the time voted it down. I was in favor for it.
However, I think the one thing to mention is there was never an option that wasn't going to impact some resident on some level.
No,
It's
I
just,
wouldn't say, we were talking about money,
Right.
costs, and things like that. So
She may also have been talking about Dr. Cassio's comment that if we did the option he talks about, we saved them.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
just was clarified
Okay.
for it.
That's good. Yeah. Thank you. Is there another person on the line?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Just your name and address, please.
Daniela Temes, 1133 Linwood Avenue.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So, I'm actually happy I'm following the person I just called before. So, just like everybody else, we are against the DPW for obvious reasons. I'm not going to mention them, just like everybody else did. I think the police department would actually be a great idea. What I kind of want to mention is what nobody really knows unless you live on Linwood is the traffic that Linwood has. Linwood is a 25-mile-per-hour street, which I feel like nobody in Township notices or realizes. And everybody flies down here like at least 45 to 55 miles per hour on a daily basis. It has caused a death. I don't know if people remember that in 2019. It causes accidents on a daily basis. It causes honking on a daily basis. It's a nightmare. So if you were to put a police station there, I can have hopes that at least maybe people would start slowing down, which would be great. But it's impossible as it stands right now to get out of your house, right? So in the morning, I got to drop off my kids at preschool. I can't get out of my driveway, just like it was mentioned earlier. It's a disaster. Now, you would think that maybe we could do something about just people sticking to the speed limit, because when you fly down this hill, that's here, you can't see who's coming out of a driveway or a street, which is actually the majority of the issue. But my big concern now is the traffic light. So if there's actually a traffic light placed, and let it be all the way down at Pascack, or let it be right by the Charlie Brown's current location, that is going to cause such a big backup. And we're seeing it now when Route 17 is closed and people say take side roads. There is backup. There is both lanes, people just backing up on Linwood all the way almost to 17, causing a traffic jam. So if you're living on Linwood, you can't get out of your driveway. You can't go anywhere. You can't let your kids play anywhere outside. So my concern is where some people might think a traffic light is a great idea, it is going to cause so much more backup. So I guess my question after my little rant here is, no matter what goes in Charlie Brown and what the plan is, will there be a traffic study and will there be a traffic light? Because as great as the initial idea sounds, it's going to cause havoc for anybody that lives on Linwood, on Highland, any of these side streets.
Thank you. Mr. Tovo, is there a traffic study that will be done? Or was there one done?
There has not been one done for this particular project. We don't know what it's going to be. Once we decide what the project is, traffic study will be one of the first things done. There have been a lot of rumors regarding the traffic light. In my experience, the survey would tell you not to do a traffic light.
Okay. Is there someone else on the line?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hi, I'm so
Hello?
sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, sir.
Hello?
How are you? Yes. Hello?
Yes, this is William. This is William Ferrara, 2556 Cleveland Avenue. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I want to thank you all for slowing down the process of deciding what to do with this until you get some facts and figures and the actual costs. If I understood what Mr. Tobo said earlier, it would cost $2 million, approximately an estimate, to renovate the existing police department in the existing facility. Is somebody could nod and say if that's right or wrong. So I think that option should be looked at very seriously before we spend $1,350,000 to purchase a piece of land where we know, based on all the comments and all the statements that have been made, nobody wants to put a DPW there. But I think you have a problem, because when you passed the bonding ordinance 2207, it was for the specific purpose of buying that land to put a DPW there. So if you're not going to put a DPW there, you've got to go back and start all over at square one. There's two other things I wanted to bring up as locations. Nobody has said what was going to be done with the existing ambulance corps building, and why couldn't that be used as the headquarters for the new DPW building? And the other site that is available, if the police department has to move, is the TD Bank building on Pascack Road, which is still empty and has a big sign available on it, although I know that ownership has changed. So I think, that's additional possibilities. Plus, I'd like what Dr. Cassio was talking about with respect to moving some of the facilities, the senior citizen facility, to the new property over at the swim club. So thank you very much. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. So he gave us something to think about as well for the bond ordinance, if we were going to move it. So thank you, Mr. Farrar. That was, at least I hadn't thought of that. You can come on up, Mr. Lindsay.
May I make a comment maybe while the next person is
Yeah, you can
coming
come
up?
on up and then, yeah, sure.
I just want to remind the residents, or inform maybe, some people have said we can go up here. Well, anytime you go up, it increased the construction costs as opposed to doing ground level construction. Also, I just want to put out there, it's been a rule of thumb that this council has used, that we've been told by our bond people, that it costs the average homeowner on the average assessed home $18 per year per $1 million borrowed over a 20-year loan. Now, for real property, we've been told we can double that. You can spread that out over a 40-year bond. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but that's what we've been told. So I want everyone to keep in mind that for about $18, that's what it will cost the taxpayers to buy the Charlie Brown. And as much as we want to, some people may want to go up here, it does not solve a number of issues, the biggest one being the parking. I'm sure some of you even had trouble parking tonight for the size of this meeting. During the day, it's the same with our employees. The DPW trucks are going to be here, the police department. It doesn't help any of those to just go up here and not consider another facility. So I just wanted to put that quick number out, because that's always what we've used. And, we're all up here to spend your money very wisely. But it's an $18 increase per million per year for a 20-year. And we can go longer on real property. So I just wanted to put that out there for everyone. Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you, Mayor.
My name is Christopher. I live in Highland Ave, 782.
Christopher, what's your last name?
Havatian.
Did you spell that?
Havatian.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said Mr. Lindsay.
I know, Mr. Lindsay's right there. He was next. He was up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
We'll just go. I'm so sorry.
We'll get
That's
to
okay.
everyone.
Go ahead.
I'm going to give my word for my friend Paul. He has the idea which I speak.
Okay.
Because he's a construction guy. Just an idea. My 5 minutes to spray this. Can I?
You're yielding your time. Are you allowed to yield? I
That's
don't know if
very
you're-
clever. We'll give you that.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
It actually was his idea. It was his idea. So Chris had.
Wait,
Hang on one
we're rolling
second.
if you can, Paul.
Hang
That
on.
might not be allowed.
Well, I'm speaking.
But I can go off, hang on, let's relax. I can go off script for a minute and.
I'm very relaxed.
I'm
Thank
going to
you
give
for-
you an option right now to
Okay.
speak on behalf of your friend. What was your name again, sir? Okay, and where do you live in town?
782 Island Drive, France.
In Paramus. Okay, so you're, yes, so that's what I said. I'm going to go off what we typically do here. I'm going to permit this. That's not normally typically what we do with the meeting. And I did mention that in the meeting in the beginning. I said you get the 5 minutes and that was that, but go ahead.
Desiree?
Yes.
I just want you to be aware, once you open this door, it's open.
Okay. He's speaking for him.
And then someone else will speak for someone else.
Robert's rules, you can't yield time.
So I'm being told I'm not able to do that, so I do apologize. Right, on the same topic, no, and a different open.
You can whisper in his ear if you'd like.
All right, he's got it.
So go ahead, try it. That's okay.
I got it.
All right.
I hear from
Sorry,
all-
guys.
I hear from all these guys here that they are losing the value of their homes, which I'm not lose my value of my home too. But I have a proposition for you guys. Why, if we, as a people here, we buy that property from you, we forget about the police and the DPW and put some kind of residential, as it is residential area there, and we finish all this problem. You guys, another places to put as the second.
Dr.
he
Casio,
mentioned. Yes. So
Okay.
there's my question. If our property gotta lose the value 100,000 on each minimum, if I put 25,000, let's say there was 700 people working, and that property, if we develop it as a apartment, that gotta bring value, and we donate that money even for Washington. Thank you.
That's right. Then we're gonna have to make COA obligations too.
He's thinking outside the box.
What's
They
that?
put housing up there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's our third option.
Yeah. We're not going to discuss that one
Yeah.
tonight, though, no. All right, Mr. Lindsay, I'm sorry. Thank you for being patient. Did you want to say something? No.
So I'm pleased to hear that you're going to slow things down.
Sorry, just name and address. I'm
Robert
sorry.
Lindsay, 114 Linwood Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
I'm pleased that you're slowing down, and this is because, quite frankly, April 4th, when I got a letter in the mail stating what the plans were for the property, was the first that I'd ever heard of it. And I could almost be willing to bet that 95% of the people here, it's the same thing, had no idea that this was going about, that you were floating bonds and you were preparing to buy a property. So I'm glad that you're slowing things down. Dr. Casio, I appreciate your candor. My question is, if you're going to slow things down, you do have a time limit on this contract to purchase the property. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
And when is that? You can answer when I
Yeah,
step
we'll
down?
answer, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
If you're going to slow walk this now and you have a deadline on the property, doesn't sound like that clicks. It sounds like you're going to get the property regardless, and then we're again back at your mercy again. So I think this should take some precedence. I think this is a real priority to the town, and I don't think this should be slow walked. I think you really need to get moving and explore some other options. Thank you.
Thank you. And I actually, hold your applause so we can get through it quicker, please. I do agree. I think that we do need to, that's what my comment was earlier, that I don't want to be stuck in the property if we don't remove ourselves in time. So
What is the date?
when is it?
Contract date?
There is no closing date. I was expecting an update on the contract date from Mr. Pollard today, but did not receive it in time.
Say it again?
Did not receive an update on the timing of the contract as of today.
Okay.
So I'll have that answer tomorrow and we can put it out.
So you have a contract, you don't have an end date on that contract, you have an open date for the signed contract?
You know, we cannot
We
answer
can't
that.
actually, I'm sorry, just as a reminder, you can't speak from the seat, but I will ask your question. Okay? So can you just try to answer the residents so they don't speak from the seat? Please try to answer what he asked.
I did. I'm waiting for an answer from the township attorney on the contract date expiration. I
Okay.
do not have that before the meeting.
Before the end of the meeting, you're going to have that?
I will not. I'll have it by tomorrow.
Okay. So what I would like you to do is to give me your email address before you leave, if you could, and I will make sure you get an email with the answer. Okay? Thank you.
Where?
Well,
Last meeting 2 weeks ago.
now we're not going to be talking from the seats, guys. I'm really sorry. I do have to keep some order in this meeting, and I don't need help from the dais, but thank you, everyone.
Desiree?
Yes.
Can I suggest, please check our town Facebook page and website, and we'll put it out there.
Okay.
And that way you can all see as soon as we put it out there.
Okay, so I am going to just remind everyone, please don't speak from the seat. You will all have an opportunity to come up to the podium and to speak, but I will need to conduct order. Okay, please, thank you.
Desiree, one other comment?
Yes.
About, I don't want to lose the property because, as I said earlier, we have very few properties in town that we have the ability to do anything on. I don't know that we'll be able to rule in or out any options, and I hope everyone here can take a slight bit of humor. If we don't end up using it, we'll take Christopher's suggestion and sell it to him, and let him do what he wants with the group.
So just to reiterate and kind of clarify, what you're saying is even if we do purchase that property, we are not necessarily putting either of those two options on there, but we are purchasing the property to have the property. Is that what you're saying?
Well, again, that's my opinion, is that,
Okay.
we shouldn't do it based on when the contract expiration, because we might not be in a position to know what we're going to do or not do.
Okay.
And I don't want to get ahead of, with Mr. Pollin not being here.
Okay.
Although we're not supposed to be in the business of flipping properties, I think we could justify if we bought it and then the needs changed, we could, put it on the market again.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying, because I don't want anyone to see that if the property is purchased, all of a sudden it's definitely going there. That's not the case. Is there anyone on the line that would like to speak?
Nope. Nobody's left.
Council, any
Wait,
comments on
Sam's
it?
back. Hold on,
My
Sam just came
question
back up.
is, in
Okay,
terms
just a
of,
minute.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
in terms of the contract, what's our due diligence date? When? Do we have that as well?
It's a good question.
I believe part of Mr. Tobo's inability to give that answer was it's a fluid date as to when certain events occurred, like our environmental study on the property and things like that. So I think there are certain dates that are triggered by certain events, perhaps, and so that's why we don't have a hard and fast date right now.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone would like to come up? I saw your hand in the back. Just 1 second. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I was pointing to you. No, behind you. Everyone's going to get a turn.
I'm Dave Smith. I live on Andrew Lane here in town. We're talking about a lot of money going out here. We just finished the firehouse and the EMS. Do we get any support for this from the county or the state or the federal government for all of this money?
I'm going to give you your whole opportunity to speak, and then we'll answer after.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
your whole question?
That's my whole question.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So for some of the property that he's referring to, we did apply for a grant for our the open space grant, which would take care of one of the properties that we are looking to purchase.
Correct.
Mhm. Right. So you want to clarify that for him? I just heard someone say one of the properties.
Yeah, for the swim club purchase, we've applied for a grant for funding through the Bergen County Open Space Program. That's due the end of the week. We'll know by October whether or not we've been awarded that money. For the other project, as of now, there's no state or federal grant available. That could change, but today, no.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Smith. Is there another person? I know there were hands. Mr. Jensen? Or after?
Good evening. My name is Srba Nikolic. I live on 99 Linwood Avenue.
Did you get the name?
No.
Can you say it one more time? Your name?
Srba Nikolic.
You got it? Servan Nicholas.
99 Linwood Avenue?
99 Linwood Avenue.
I will look up your name. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's been very emotional to be here for the last 4 meetings. I've never been ever in my life in any municipality and listen this. what's going on. The things moving forward a little bit better in favor of the residents of Washington Township, if that honest from you, Mayor, and I hope it's honest, that you're trying to put the police department instead of DPW, which majority of us are disagree with DPW. I hear different opinions here, and I respect Mr. Velez that she says something very nice and thankful, that she would like first to see the numbers and to make conclusion in her decision to work or not to work or something. Most of you actually doesn't have that kind of opinion. You have one vision, stubborn vision to go with the project, regardless of anything. Close eyes and they're gonna go. Yes, you are authority. You can do whatever you want, right? We don't have that much power to change that. But keep in mind, I walk around the streets and I visit a number of these residents here. I have a list and ask residents if they want to participate in lawsuit against the town. We have 40 families that they want to do that. We prefer to go on a lawsuit against you guys, against the town, because simply we're gonna lose a lot of money on property values. George is here. He's a realtor and he is a council of Washington Township. He can get you closer numbers, what we're gonna lose, but probably between 50, 100, 150,000. It all depends on the property value that we own. We cannot allow to lose our money. We work very hard for our money. And you have to consider that. Put your position, yourself in our position. Would you allow to lose that kind of money? I don't think so. I want you to respect us as the residents of the Washington Township and to help us go through this matter in a human and understandable way. Consider our concerns. Listen to us. Come to conclusion, we will support you. We will support you with police department. Many things are benefit. A lot of people will like that because of safety. A lot of people will be like that because the traffic will slow down and make, from that perspective, safety. From criminals also. So, please help us out, work out with us. Don't prolong that to go above nonsense. What I'd like to ask you, if you can measure your percentage and give us tonight an answer, what project you would put over there? What you're leaning to from your personal perspective? And also, administrator, I've been here for a few meetings. I don't know, do I sleep or you sleep? You said for the contract, for the property of Charlie Brown, the due diligence period will be 60 days. And that will start for April 15. And how come that you don't know earlier to answer that question to whoever was here of the people? That's not nice. That's not respectful to these people. We listen to you. Please listen to us and give us the answer. If it's behind us some kind of game, that's not nice. We are not here to disrespect you, but we are not here to hear somebody else's games. I will be short. I will cut my conversation. I don't want to go on and on. I would like to apologize if I insulted someone with my appearance here. I didn't mean it. It's very emotional for me, and that's all what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone on?
Sam.
Sam.
Sam's been back and forth.
Okay, I'm going to move to the, one second, I'm going to move to the computer, to the, online first.
No answers for the question that I have?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, did you have an answer for him? I am sorry.
My only answer
Not
is,
from there.
and I'm sorry to give this answer without the attorney being here, you've now threatened a lawsuit, and so we have to be very careful as to how we respond. If you didn't say that, I would have a response. But I know with the attorney, if he were here, he would advise us all, now you have threatened a lawsuit, and so we have to be very careful what we say. And
All right, thank you. No, not from there, we cannot do that.
That's my opinion. That's
We
my
can't-
opinion.
I'm sorry, we cannot, not right now. Yeah. Okay. Who's on the phone? Hi, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Sam Bashara, Ridgewood resident, 793 Norgate Drive.
Hi.
How you doing? So first, I want to thank you guys for everything. I know it's tough being in your position, so I just want to thank you guys for what you're doing. I heard everybody earlier, and I just wanted to check in to see. I know the mayor said if it doesn't work out, that there is a potential that, I know you're not in the flipping business, but you may sell it back. I just had two questions. One, is it a possibility, like, is the sale contingent upon it being a DPW or a police station? And then if it isn't any of those things, are you not going to purchase the property, or are you purchasing the property regardless, and then figuring out what to do with it later? And follow-up is, how come with regard to the previous contract with Apple Montessori, was it not made known, or they were in the middle of a contract and then the township was going to do eminent domain or whatever else it was called to kind of take it by force, is what I know from, the owner of, or the realtor at Charlie Brown's, was that even if it went through, the town would make it difficult to go forward because they would purchase it, which led the Montessori school to pull out.
Okay, I will have someone answer. Those are all your statements? You're done?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Did anyone want to respond? I think it's...
I'm happy to. I think I got his two questions down. No, as far as purchasing the property, there's nothing in there with the seller that says what we're using it or not using it for. As Mr. Farrar did point out, we might have to alter the ordinance if we go with a different use, but I wouldn't see that being a problem. I don't want to comment too much on the school because that was mostly between the seller and the school. However, I'm going to say, as a municipality, we reminded them that, if we wanted the property that bad, we could use eminent domain. That is a tool that municipalities have. I'm not a big fan of it. And so let me say, I'm glad that whatever worked out between the seller and Montessori, that was between them, but the seller did ultimately agree to go with us as a town. So I'm not going to comment on the Montessori part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Council President, I just want to let everybody know, I did some research on Apple Montessori. I know we're talking about $35,000 or $30,000 in property taxes. They would have applied for an exemption. They've gotten it for 98% of their schools. So that doesn't mean that Apple Montessori would have brought tax revenue to township, just so you know.
Thank you.
They can apply for exempt in New Jersey.
We're not going to, yeah.
Most of them do get it, so just so you know. So I just want to and I don't know if everybody knows how that works, or if it does work that way. Most of their schools do get it.
Okay, is there another person on?
Not that I see.
Okay, and did you want to come up?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Keith Jensen, 133 Woodfield Road. I'm not threatening to sue anybody, so I hope you guys can answer my questions tonight. I'm not threatening to sue anybody, so I hope you guys can answer my questions this evening. Mr. Tovo, if we have 90 days, that's a really important deadline, or 60 days from the time that bond ordinance is written, or I think it is, you really need to know what that is. I mean, anytime you run a business, that's a big deal. There's other issues that have come up in the past, and that's a big one running a business. So I'd like you already have known that. I know you don't know it now, but to get it tomorrow is imperative. with the bond ordinance, when that's done, that's written for a specific purpose for the DPW. It's not written for police, not written for that. And I get you're going to try to figure out how to unwind and make it a little bit open, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as you're thinking. What I'm more concerned about is the land speculation idea, saying, oh, we're just going to buy it anyway. And then if we choose to do something else differently, then, worst case, we flip it. I don't want to see my tax dollars being run by a government that, has changing potentially leadership to have another idea, then do something different. So we should not be in land speculation at all. We should know what we're doing. We should know what it costs. We have a gentleman in town who figured out what it's going to cost in a matter of a month, of weeks. We should figure that out. Being in the fire department for 6 years in the past, volunteer fireman, I know how time is the essence to deploy out. If you're going to have the police department on the far side of town, that's not good for the opposite side of town. I don't know what's happening with the old fire department and how that's working out in the police, but I'm very curious to know what's being happening with that, if there's going to be new rateables or if they're going to do some idea to use that location. I'm not in favor of the TD Bank because that's another acquisition. Again, potential land speculation, loss of rateables. But that's kind of what I wanted to hit on those three questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The only thing that I can answer right now is the one thing I can personally answer. I did ask that same question about the police department being on one side of the town. How would that work? I was told that, and I believe this, my husband is also a police officer, so he confirmed that that's probably how that works. The town, just where the location of the building isn't so important because they're not coming from the police department. When there's a call, they get positioned in different areas of the town as it is currently, so that the response time to any one place is pretty fair and equitable. So they wouldn't be coming from like the south end of Township to go all the way toward the north end. There's someone positioned all over there. So that's just they know what they're doing in that aspect. I cannot answer the other questions, however.
Sorry, I didn't recall another question. I heard some statements, so.
Any response to his statements, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a question, so
I mean, the only one I can respond to is you mentioned about the old fire department building. We looked at that building even before we went ahead with the new fire department. That building is in such bad shape because of its age that it can't even be redone. It really needs to come down. Also, while the new building's going up and that building is there, the firefighters don't have any good place to park when they are responding. So the intent is to take that building down, give the firefighters parking the way they used to have it right next to the building, and then with the rest of the property, get back our commuter parking that we also had to give up as part of while this construction is going on.
I happen to like that idea as well, though. Just FYI. Anyone else would like to come up? I just want to make a note that at 9:30 we are going to take a 5-minute break. You can come up.
Hi, I'm gonna try also to be clear.
Okay.
With my language.
That's okay.
Maritza Lopez, I'm from Paramus. And I just want to give things.
I'm sorry, Ms. Lopez, what is your address?
6 Palm Court.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to recognize our counselor here, the councilman, that were here for us to show, that they are for us. Thank you very much. And just wanted to express my concern. Now in Paramus, we're going to have a Valley Hospital, which is very close to Highland. So I'm wondering how it's going to be our nights between the ambulance noise and police noise, if that's the case. I really want to ask you to reconsider to do something with what you have, like the councilman says, or to sell the property and do something, or even think about business. You could do a school, a private school with the benefits for the town. What about moving a library there? I don't know, something more residential, safe and environment that we wanted to keep. Just consider to not to do any of those. I love the policemen and I do believe in safety, but I know that it's gonna be noisy when you turn that policeman car. It's the same of an ambulance, and we already have from two sides, we're gonna have the noise. Please reconsider this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any comment from council?
Yeah, actually, I have a comment. If any of the council people who are here from Paramus, did you do a traffic study and how it's going to affect us coming up Linwood for the hospital?
Good question.
Was there any traffic
Great
study or
question.
anything? Because if they miss their exit, no, if you could email me if there is a traffic study. If they miss their exit, going to the hospital.
But not from the seat yet.
I'm sorry.
Let the council vice president finish, please.
Again, if you did do a traffic study, because if they pass the exit, right, which I'm going to call Lord and Towers, I know it's not Lord and Towers anymore, so coming that way, and then they're going to get off on Linwood and come up and go down Highland. There was probably no traffic study done, and we were not informed ahead of time. We did not receive any notice.
We're not going to speak from the seat. The council vice president is speaking, and she is allowed to exercise her opinion and ask a question. Thank you. Go ahead, council vice president.
So in addition, the administration requested help from several mayors in surrounding areas. We did not receive a response from Paramus. Paramus did not offer to help us store our trucks or anything like that with their administration. So we appreciate you coming here and supporting your residents. Absolutely, it's your right. It's your obligation as elected officials. But at the same time, we're trying to act in the best interest, and that's why this meeting is happening. And we are listening to the residents right now and trying to provide fair and transparent feedback to you.
Thank
So
you.
please just, keep that in mind, that I am 100% on board with what's going on here and this process. But at the same time, you talk about, dual communication. If you could email me the traffic studies, that would be great, and any communications that were sent out regarding the hospital and the impact to Linwood that comes through our part of the town. I'm not looking for a response now. I'm just saying.
Well, actually, it's a new.
So, yeah, we're not, it's okay. We're not going to be going back. It's not a back and forth.
But I was piggybacking off of the last resident's comment.
Right.
So,
Does anybody have any other comments? No. Okay. Okay. I believe council vice president just asked you to send her a copy of the, or anything that's been done. You can communicate with her through email. Yep. Right? Is that what you were?
yeah, that's my request. I can give you my email address.
But I can speak again to a different topic.
But we're talking about DPW, and that's what this special meeting is for. It's off topic, so I don't want to get lost on that. We have a limited amount of time, and I have a ton of people to listen to. So is there anyone else that has a
If
question?
you could just clarify, the last resident brought it up about the hospital.
Right.
That's what I was responding to.
Right, so just so we're clear, guys, please, just so we're clear, if a question is asked and a response comes back from the council, it does not open the floodgates for a different topic, a side topic, to answer the question that the council person just answered. So let's stop there. If you guys have further communication, I'm going to ask you to please, as council vice president asked, communicate through email, and she asked the direct question. That is it. We are going to move on, and we're going to go to.
Clarify the question, which was from that resident.
Say, right, you were clarifying the
So the
question.
resident asked about they're already going to have an impact with the traffic from the hospital going down Highland, coming off of Linwood. That was the.
Not from this, not from the.
That wasn't my concern.
We are not speaking. I'm so sorry. We heard your question, and she's clarifying it. Okay. Yes, that's the end of it. Let's continue to move. I got it. Thanks, guys. We're going to continue. Anyone else have a question?
I don't have a question, but I have a statement.
As long as it is regarding our DPW, absolutely.
Good evening.
My name is Jean Weber. I live at 403 Burlington Road in Paramus, and I am a third-term councilwoman. And I really can understand why you're sitting there and looking very glum, because you have a tough decision to make. Any decision or any vote that I have ever taken was made in the best interest of the residents of Paramus. And I go into council meetings with an open mind. I listen to everyone. I hear the concerns of everyone sitting here tonight and all the people who have been kind enough to come out. It seems to me that nobody wants this DPW there, not only because of the traffic, you have the exhaust from the trucks going in and out. When you have a snowstorm, you're going to have all of these sanding trucks going in and out. There were so many reasons why this should not be put there. Someone brought up the reason that, did we do a traffic study? I am not sure. I will check into it tomorrow. But I can tell you that the hospital is in an industrial area. It is not in a residential area. And it does not really have any impact on Washington Township. And people have said something about the traffic. Well, you have the traffic with the ambulances going into Ridgewood right now. So we're not adding to your distress in Washington Township. I think that the police station was a more palatable option, but personally, sitting here, Councilman Cascio, I think came up with an excellent option, and I hope that you will take the time. I think it would be a wonderful cost saving, and to me, to take a piece of property that Charlie Brown's is on, and you could put 5 or 6 houses there, you could bring in tax revenue. That, to me, sounds like a much better option, and I hope that you will keep your minds open for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone like to respond?
I would, thank you.
Okay.
As I said earlier, we don't have the luxury that Paramus has of having an industrial area. So that's not an option for us. So take that off the table. I don't know how Paramus zoning is. This is an acre-and-a-half piece of property.
Please keep the conversations down.
There's no way we can put 5 or 6 houses on an acre-and-a-half of property. Not in our zoning. Perhaps in Paramus you have tighter zoning, but there's no way we can put 5 or 6 houses on an acre-and-a-half.
Okay, is there anyone else would like to respond on the council?
We have a.
Okay. There's a caller on the phone. Are they ready?
Let's see.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for this platform for us to raising our thoughts.
Just your name and address, please.
Yeah, my name is Ece Donek. I'm living with my family at 831 Highland Avenue, which is the one house close to the Charlie Brown. And I listen everyone's opinion. We definitely, as a family of 3, I have 2 small kids that's going to Parkway School. We definitely don't want any DPW or anything that on residential building close to our house. And rather than just, of course, that there is like the governmental aspect of everything, but I just want to point out like a human type of feelings. Like I have 2 small kids, I have a garden, and when I just put my kids out of the garden, I just want them to play peacefully. I don't want the noise or like the having the anxiety or the sirens or anything. And as an immigrant at this country, I really envied and I'm growing to have an area that I can like freely live inside the nature and all the residential houses. And this is really something that devastating as a mother. So I just want to just share my feelings rather than talking about figures or plans on everything. Like I'm sure that you are considering all of it, but just as a concerned mother, and very close to that area, this is how I'm feeling. And thanks for the platform to share my thoughts.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else online?
I don't see anybody else.
Okay. Come up.
Good evening. Alexander Axonov, 776 Highland Avenue, Paramus, New Jersey. So first off, I want to thank you, Mayor, for your thoughtfulness. I know that these decisions are very difficult at your level, and I understand you have a lot of opinions and a lot of voices that surround you with that. But I think, one thing that should be highlighted here is really community. Right. And here's really what you have. You have a community, not just a Paramus community, but also a Washington Township community, a Ridgewood community. And I think that community in the aggregate is fundamentally being negatively impacted. And I think from a negative impact perspective, some things should also be considered, such as voting time, not just taxpayer dollars and other things like that, right? Because people who need to, say, live in these neighborhoods, live in these homes, raise their families. For me personally, my wife and I are expecting a daughter later this year. She will be playing on Highland Avenue. And if you're proposing a DPW truck, and I have over 25 years experience in infrastructure, so I know what a DPW truck, I know what it looks like. I know the drivers that drive it, both prevailing and non-prevailing wage. So from that perspective, I'm very extraordinarily uncomfortable with having a DPW truck driving down my street, passing my house. I did hear your option B. I applaud you for option B. I think option B is actually a very good thing for us, both from a community perspective, for my family and for the other families that are here, even though some may not think so. There has been an increase in car violence, thefts, things like that, right? Somebody mentioned before speeding. Speeding is a big issue also, both on Linwood and on Highland Avenue. A police department may help that. In general, I think that from a constituency perspective and a community perspective, there should be additional people who weigh in on this. Mayor LaBarbiera should have a say in this, specifically of the location of where this property is. I think that's just part of being good stewards of, the same county, right? Joe Tedesco should also have a say in what happens here. Josh Gottenheimer, who also depends on our votes, should have a say here. And so should Mayor Susan Knudsen in Ridgewood. I think they should all participate. News 12 New Jersey should participate. I think a much broader audience should participate in what's going on here, only because you have a very large community filled with lots of constituents of 700 plus people who have just been aware of this. I was made aware of this in, April 4th or 5th or something or other. I received a letter in the mail with no postmark, no one to speak to send it back to, but Bill McCullough. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Because otherwise I would have never known to come here, because on top of everything else I do in life, like work full time, I was finishing up my third graduate degree. So with that being said, again, I applaud your thoughtfulness. However, the DPW is a non-starter, I think, not only for myself, but also for the community here at large. So I implore you, I plead with you, as a resident, as a member of your community, as well, to plan a little bit more towards leaning to option B, which I think a much larger number of constituents would be okay with. And also, Dr. Cassia, is it? Do you guys talk? I hope so, because look, I've done municipal, I've done federal, I've done state, local work. I've been involved in lots of different things, but communication is critical. And if you guys are sitting there both on the same panel, whatever the issues are, or wherever the issues are not, there's always that common ground where you have a constituency, and that constituency depends on you guys making the right decision and you ladies making the right decision for us. And I just want to make one last comment, Miss Feeney, if you don't mind.
1 minute left, sir.
Sure, this will be quick. So you mentioned Mount Fiore, the school. I also found out about that. That was going to be in the Charlie Brown potentially, right? They were going to go for certain tax treatments, favorable abatements and things like that, right? Exempt status, okay. So obviously that was going to impact how much money this, township would make and everything from the tax base, correct? Well, what would be different with the police station or the DPW? Do they pay them taxes? So it would be the same thing, right, exactly. So it could have been a school. That's my point. That's all I'm saying, is it could have been a school, right? Not a DPW. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay,
Just to
gonna
clarify.
let Council Vice President speak, and then we're gonna break.
Just to clarify, several residents had asked me that why wouldn't we want the Apple Montessori School and get the tax revenue? I was trying to make the point that there wouldn't necessarily be tax revenue from it, not to make the other point that you made.
You can come up. Yeah, come up. We'll go to break right after this. Sorry.
Okay, good evening. I'm Matthew DeShore, 62 Edgewood Drive. I just want to thank the mayor and council for looking at this and thinking about possibly reconsidering the DPW. I've spoken, this is the third time I've spoken here in the last month or so, and I'm very happy to see that you're listening to the constituents here of Washington Township, Ridgewood, and Paramus. I just had a couple of things here. First of all, what I don't understand is it sounds like, and I said it before, I didn't think there was a lot of, I really didn't think a lot of thought went into buying this property. It sounds like, wow, the property came up, we're going to buy it and figure out how to make the DPW work. I said that earlier in a previous meeting. That's what I think happened. And then I'm hearing things, I may be a little confused on this, about bonding had to be done for a specific purpose, which would have been the DPW. So if you don't make it the DPW, what's going to happen with the potential purchase of this property? So that's something I'm a little confused about. Maybe I'm a little bit foggy about it. I don't know. Just a couple other things here too is that, I'm a resident of town for 38 years. I used to coach Little League and basketball. My wife was a PSO president at Washington School. She was a Girl Scout leader. Okay, so we know a lot of people in town. I've spoken to people who don't live anywhere near Edgewood Drive and Linwood Avenue. Nobody said, oh, this is a great idea to move it there. Nobody. I'm just telling you that. I just know a lot of people I've spoken with. So it's not, I know I'm taking it a little bit personal because I live near it. I've talked to a lot of friends, and some of them I'm not really super close with anymore either, but nobody thinks this is a good idea. Just from the aesthetics of the town, when you're coming into Washington Township, it's one of the first things you see. And the other thing I want to say here too is that it appears, just again, judging by this crowd, what I've heard elsewhere, is that it really looks like this DPW should be off the table. And if it's going to come down to, I think really your next step is going to be, is this going to be a police department, or is it going to be something else? It's going to go back to residential? Will it become a school? That's what we have to really look at. I just think this DPW is a done deal not being there. It's going to be someplace, whether it returns here or it goes out of town. But I really think we got to really talk about here, because my impression was, reading about this meeting was that it was going to be not necessarily a vote tonight. I understand that. And you did say in the letter that action may or may not be taken tonight. And I respect that, because it's great that you're listening no matter what the decision is. But I really think that really from this point on, it really should be, is it going to be a police department or it's going to be something else? That's what I think what everybody here is wondering, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go to break, 5-minute break.
Desiree, before you take a break, the number of hands has been going down. Are there people who are going to want to talk after the break, or are you pretty much done? I'm not looking to rush anyone, but okay. I mean, if it's just one other person, do you want to?
Okay.
Two others? I'm sorry, I only noticed one. So I leave it up to you, Desiree, but I take a break.
We get,
I think a break is.
you guys need a break?
We could be good.
Okay. All right. So just by a show of hands, how many people would want to talk if we went straight through and no break right now? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're gonna take a break. Yeah, we're taking a break. Or else we'll be here another hour. 5 minutes. So we're going to resume. Oh, sorry. So we're going to resume. Just make sure all your mics are on. I believe, Councilwoman Velez, you had a response to
Yeah.
resident comment?
Just in response, I forget, Mr. DeShore. I have also spoken to a few residents.
Dave, there's no sound. Just have Ricky, have WCTV check.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I mean, I can.
Not you, on the TV
Oh.
and the live stream.
Someone just sent something?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just 1 second. Give us 2 seconds.
Technical difficulties?
Yeah. WCTV is getting back to me. Hang on. There was no sound because we hadn't started that yet. Everything is okay now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I had also spoken to a few residents who reached out to me in regards to DPW. I know that most of you who are here, all of you are here, are against the DPW, but there have been some residents that I've spoken to me, who are in favor of the DPW because it enhances, I know, it enhances. I just want to communicate. So I've encouraged them to come and speak. You know, if they have that feeling, then come and speak. Have your voices heard. However, because they are in the minority, they have chosen not to. So while the opinion,
Yes, I'm going to ask you to refrain from comments while we're speaking. It's not respectful. We're not doing that while you speak. So please, this is the third time I'm asking. When the council is speaking, please give us the same respect. You shake your head, but we hear things all the time, every time we're speaking. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Again, there we go.
So.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Council.
No. It's fine, thank you. So what I'm just trying to communicate to you that while the majority here is against the DPW, there are residents that are for it. And, you know, they don't want to come here because they would be the minority in this particular room. So we're definitely hearing you. Our opinions haven't changed. We are really trying to work through the details. And as I said before, I'm not ready to make a decision just yet, but I did want to let everybody know that there are residents. We have received emails from residents also, you know, thanking us for making these moves. So there are two sides to the story as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Velez. I think it's important to speak to that because it is good to represent them. And I think we would be lying to ourselves if any of us said that we would enter a room where we knew we were the absolute minority and feel that we could speak up. It's nerve-wracking to be at that podium when you have the entire town or the room is filled with people who have your like-mindedness. Imagine being the only one in the room who feels that way. But we do get emails. And as Councilwoman Velez stated, there's two sides to every story. The town is divided. Those who live close to the area that's being developed or considered being considered don't want it. That's obvious. But there's another side of the town that knows that we need the DPW and they are okay with it and they're happy to see that we're finally doing something with it. So, you know, thank you for bringing that up.
And on the flip side, you should never be scared to come to a council meeting.
Right.
And the beauty of technology, you don't even have to be here. You can be anonymous basically on the thing.
That's right.
They have
So we do encourage everybody to
They
definitely.
have a voice that needs to be recognized, and they should be.
Yep.
By all means.
Agreed.
They don't have to come and feel intimidated. They can do it from the comfort of their own home.
Thank you.
Very nice to do sometimes.
Yes, it is. As you've done it. You've done it.
Yes, I've done it, yes.
So no, that's great. Thank
That
you.
is actually an option. I said, well, we're Zoom now, so you can remain anonymous.
Yeah, but they can't because they have to say their name and their
you don't have to come
address.
here and be
And sometimes it could be neighbors and
yeah.
friends. It could be a friend of theirs they don't want to insult. It's like politics. It's the
Yes,
same thing.
yes.
So, but yeah.
So I just wanted to express that on their behalf.
It really does. It really does. Is there anyone that would like to come up and speak on any? Yes, and then you can come after. If you, yes, you can come on up.
John Kroll, 54 Hemlock Drive.
Okay.
I'd like to know the people that say they would want to have that in their front yard, because it's in my front yard, and I don't want it there. It doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. You know, you can put a $2 million house up, but when you park a garbage trucks in the driveway, I don't think you'd be appreciative of that fact that you have that garbage truck out there all the time, and you're looking at it. And if they want to say something about the DPW being across the street from their house, let them speak up. I lived in town for 60 years, and I've dealt with a lot of councils with different things, and I've never had this kind of a problem where something like a commercial thing like this comes into a residential area, a strictly residential area, and there is already a house up on our block for sale because of this. 56 Hemlock Drive is being sold. It's on the market. I'm sorry, but I can't believe that somebody would want that in their front yard. I just don't believe it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Have you spoken on the topic before?
Well, I think it's a different topic.
Again, no, it's one time. Yeah, we have one. It's one topic. So unless it's a different something, we're talking about DPW. You spoke before, right?
But I spoke before about trying to be included in the conversation.
Yeah. Right now I have other residents. I need to get to everybody. If you're still here after everyone is, you can. I'm sorry.
We spoke before, you told us that.
Yes. Okay.
So we can get it.
Thank you. No, actually, I want to give everyone an opportunity. And then if you're still here at the end of the meeting, you can speak again. I just want to give people who haven't, they can come on up. You can come up, yes.
Mr. Palmer's on.
Oh, I will speak with Mr. Pollard then and ask him. Okay. Hi,
Hello.
Mr. Pollard.
Hello, Mr. Pollard.
This is our, for those who don't know, this is our township attorney. Hi, are you there? Okay, there were a couple of questions for you. I'm sorry, if you want to have a seat and then you'll come right up after. Thank you. Mr. Tovo, did you have some questions that we were going to defer to Mr. Pollard?
I believe one question was regarding the surety from the town regarding property depreciation. The remainder of the questions were in regards to Robert's rules as far as whether or not somebody can speak for a second time or yielding of time to a third party.
Yes. Mr. Pollard, are you there?
Yeah, hold on one second.
Okay.
All right, so you're asking whether the town can guarantee or come up with some sort of a responsibility for the actual value of property based on the use of the property? Is that what somebody's questioning?
This question is.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The answer is no.
Okay.
Assessments are made by the assessor based on the value of the property, and things are taken into account. Assessors do take into account factors which depress values, surrounding things of that nature, highly trafficked roads, and other factors. But the function of assessing a property for tax purposes is wholly within the confines of the office of the tax assessor. The town has no input on that issue. Okay. As far as running your meeting, the meeting is, you run the meeting. the Roberts rules has to do with the motions and things of that nature. That doesn't really bear to the nature of the participation of the public. It's really the procedures of the council, motions and voting and interrupting and points of order, things of that nature. So you're basically running your public meeting, correct?
Correct.
So
A special public meeting with one topic.
okay, so you run your meeting. It's your meeting to run.
Thank you. So if I want to defer a little bit, like if I want to deviate from the standard, which I normally would stick to, I am not violating anything and I can do that, yes?
No.
No, I can't do that?
Yes, you can.
Yes, I can do that. Okay. Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Morgan, you could ask the council to suspend the rules.
I
for
did
that,
before.
And, that takes you off the hook for that.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to do that.
I did that before. You did hear me, right? Okay.
I thought I heard it, but I
Yeah.
just want to clarify it. And the date, yes.
Yes, that was the other question. We wanted to know the date of the due diligence period was up. Was that right, Councilwoman Velez?
And
That's correct.
the contract,
And the
was asked as well.
Yeah, and the contract for the, if we were, what's that?
Closed it.
Yeah, the close date for the Charlie Brown building property.
Okay, so if I mentioned this before, and so I'll mention it again. It's 60 days from the 20-day estoppel period when the bond ordinance was published. Based on my conversations with the clerk, I think we calculated that to be the estoppel period was April 14th. And so the due diligence period is 60 days from that period forward. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the clerk still has to, the clerk can tell me again, or could double check that tomorrow. I don't know exactly when it went into the newspapers. It's not my, I don't have access to when it went to the papers, when it was published. It's 20 days from publication. And then it's the due diligence period is 60 days.
Okay.
However, I mean, if somebody is talking about backing out or something of that nature, I'm going to say this right now. I do not wait till last days to do anything. Right? Nobody should be waiting until the 60th day to do anything. Just want to throw that out there. So
Okay. So just to,
I just don't want people thinking that everything is fine and just wait till 60 days or whatever. If things change, it should be done before that period, before that date.
how soon before?
Well, but how much?
Because I don't want it to be.
Mr. Pollard?
No,
Mr.
I
Pollard?
don't think there's a necessity to say it has to be X days before. I'm just saying I do not think it's wise, prudent, or reasonable to get a call at 12 o'clock on the 59th day to pull out of a contract that needs to be terminated. So just throw it there, okay?
Ms. Wachowski, did you have a
Yes,
question?
Mr. Pollard? Yes, I am going to confirm right now the effective date of that bond ordinance is April 14th.
Okay, so it's 60
60
days
days from
from then.
June. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Pollard.
Thank you.
May I ask any questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, and no disrespect to the president or how the meeting's being run, but my question is going to be to make sure we maintain order and integrity in future meetings. If Desiree allows either third party people to speak and yield their time and or let people speak more than once, does that open the door to have to do that for future meetings?
Well, first of all, this is not the United States Senate where you yield your time to somebody else. The meeting is run by the council president according to the scheduling that she does, 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes, or whatever you're doing, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you're doing.
Correct.
But there's no procedure for yielding time and somebody keeping a clock on somebody else. And that's not something that is worthwhile getting involved in, and it shouldn't be followed in any of the meetings that we do. And as far as this being a special meeting, I mean, if you feel that this was a special meeting and that the rules should be suspended for general discussion at a general public meeting, you're able to do it. It is a special meeting on a special subject. You do have some rules. If you suspend the rules, you can do that. You can allow people to speak more. I just don't think I wouldn't want people to start thinking that it's like the Senate where you're banking time and giving it to somebody else. So if you want to hear somebody a second time, that's up to you.
I think what the mayor is also asking is I'm not setting precedents where I'm going to suspend the rules. I think I'm able to. And if I want to hear somebody's rebuttal, or there was something that they needed to ask, they didn't ask the first time, I'm giving them another opportunity to speak. The next meeting we have, if they're not going to hold me to the fire and say, oh, on May 3rd, you let so-and-so speak twice.
Well, you can guarantee that somebody will definitely say it, but it won't bind you at all. But count on somebody saying it.
All right, but it is my prerogative to be able to suspend a meeting or not suspend a meeting, suspend the rules, correct?
Yes.
All right, so then I'm going to ask council to not be in my ear when I'm going to make a rule, okay? Just let me do it.
Desiree.
Yes, I'm here.
Desiree.
Can you hear me?
We're hearing you.
I think you should have a motion to suspend the rules just so that it's established that there are no rules, except for the ones that you're
Well, that's not going to happen. All right, so we're going to stick to the regular rules since there's no happy medium. We're not going to motion to suspend so that the meeting has no rules. We all have to go home at some point. So I'm going to, thank you, Ken. I'm not going to suspend them.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
You need me for anything else?
We may. I don't know if you want to argue. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's as simple as us just giving you a quick text to say, huh?
God bless.
We did. Oh, yes, there is another question on the table. Mr. Tovo, do you want to ask about the bond regarding?
Well, that's a question for Mr. Beinfeld, not for Mr. Pollard.
He may know. No, Mr. Pollard wouldn't know.
Ask his opinion.
Yeah, let's ask his opinion anyway and see what he says.
Mr. Pollard, being the original bond ordinance was for a DPW facility, would that have to be changed to reflect any other type of use in the bond ordinance itself?
Okay, the answer to that is yes. And the answer is that I looked at that, the way the bond ordinance is written is for a public purpose, including, but not limited to, it's not just limited to one thing. It's a public purpose, including the DPW. And since that came up in my mind earlier on, I placed a call to bond counsel, and bond counsel confirmed that you can change it to another project, another public project.
Okay.
So I did call Mr. Beinfeld. I did have that conversation with him. So he and I were on the same page on that issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you could just, I guess for now, if we need you, I'll just text you, and it's as easy as just hopping on the Zoom, right?
Yep.
That's excellent. Okay. Thank you so much.
Unmute us and walk away.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Bassem Benjamin. I'm living in 50 Hemlock Drive. I would like to first thank you so much for your time. I know you have families and you're coming here especially for us. And we're also having our families, and we're spending this time to raise our voices for what we don't like. I'd like to thank you, President Morgan, especially tonight, honestly, because when you were asked the question about if you'd like to have this in front of your home, you were so honest to say, I don't have an answer, which means that you didn't lie, or you didn't say, oh, I would have it. I would love to have it. I'd like to thank Councilman Cassie also for raising his voice and listening to us and hearing us. I was coming and I was planning really, and I would like to thank you, Mayor, for what you said in your message. You said that administration had listened to your voices. And our voices was to say no for the EPW. So why are we discussing this now if you have already listened to our voices? So you have listened to our voices. I was expecting to come to see a completely different drawing, different stuff here to say, okay, guys, we heard you. We're not going to have this, and we are going to build something else. When I looked at this architect drawing, I was surprised because one of my first comments to you that this exit is just opposite to my entrance of my home. And I can show it to you on a camera of the ring right now. So, and you said, no, don't worry. This is trucks going in and out from the same exit. So this is for the big DPW. The trucks will go and come out from the same exit. How about if the police cars? Can't you also do it from the same exit? Why didn't the architect who's listened to us and you listen to us, why didn't you close this one in the drawing at least to make me feel that you listened to me first? We don't want you to write, we have listened to you, we have listened to your voices, and we have heard your concerns regarding relocating the DPW. And I feel like at the end, no, we are still discussing, is it here or not? Is it gonna be open, this exit or not? That's number one. So please tell me, what does it mean by you heard our voices? This is my first question. I'd like also to ask something. Why we are coming to a meeting when our leaders here who are leading the meeting, they don't have the right answers for this questions. Some questions that were asked, I had the answer for the 60 days, and I said it, 60 days from April 14th, because I heard it last time, and I was surprised that as a council, you don't have the answer written. You were not prepared to my questions. I thought you would be coming prepared, more prepared. I'm not trying to be hard or to be bad or rude to anybody. I'm trying to tell you, we are here. You are spending your time. You live your families. Some here people, I'm sorry to say it, you are mentioning stuff that is really irrelevant. Why are you telling me about we had the option to buy another facility, and afterwards you told me, oh, that was 2 years ago, we would have saved 1 million. What is the benefit for that in me in this conversation? Just to regret that we didn't do that 2 years ago? It's useless to say it. Tell me something which is constructive. Tell me, Bassem, I'm here. I will listen to you. I will look for other facilities, but don't come and tell me we have looked to other options last 2 years and it was 1 million less. We would have saved you money, but it's over. We can't do it now. It's not gonna give me any extra benefit. So that's my points, really. I wanted to know why we are not ready, when we can have a real answer, if this is gonna be really removed according to our voices or not. So why we don't have this answer and when we can have it. Thank you so much for your time again. Thanks for having us here. And please listen to us, Mayor. We want to be like as nice as we can to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So the only thing I can ask and answer a little bit is you're referring to the emergency exit, right? That's the one that's directly across. So I believe it is a code, right? I think you need to have a second egress in that facility, and that's why it's there. They couldn't not put it there, but it doesn't necessarily mean it would be used. That's what I understood. Am I right?
I mean, I can't speak to whether it's required or not, but it's certainly a best practice.
Okay.
And with all due respect, Mr. Benjamin, I think that's about the only thing in the plan that did not change from when the DPW was there. Everything else has changed. And, again, I just, especially if it's a police station, I could not advocate that they only have one exit, especially. God forbid there's an accident at that main entrance and exit. They do need, if there was an emergency, they do need an alternate way out. So that's my opinion on the topic. I don't know if you can, but ask the council president.
I'll just one comment on this one. I'm sorry.
I'm not allowed
just
to.
wanna ask one question.
I can't because I didn't let this, I'm so sorry.
I'll tell you what. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, just clarify quickly, please,
Okay.
just quickly.
I'm not trying to be going back and forth, okay? But you said that you might need for the police, especially for the police, and I respect it. They might need an emergency exit. How many exits they have here now in the existing location?
2.
So there's one from the
One
entrance.
on the down, yeah.
Okay.
That goes down.
But at least I wouldn't be able to say to the police, no, don't use this exit. It's only for emergency,
Of
right?
course you could.
So
Yeah.
I would find them in my house.
No.
And let me say, again, just my opinion, since they would have to go out to Linwood, no matter which exit they use, I think they're going to use mostly the main one because it gets them out there quicker. And, God forbid an emergency, they're going to use their lights to stop the traffic and get out. So even in an emergency, I really think it's only, God forbid, there's something that they can't get out the main exit.
And just,
Go ahead.
just to point on that first drawing, you could see that second exit that we have currently. It goes down the hill.
Yeah.
It's right there.
It comes out by our electronic sign over there. Is there anyone else that would like to speak that hasn't spoken?
Council President.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So just in response to so backstory is always a good thing to have. Because a lot of the questions I got, both at opening day for baseball and other events around town, were why are you rushing to grab this property? So I'm trying to point out that this was not the first property that was explored, that this was not rushed upon or thrust upon, and that there were other options evaluated. So that was the point of why I'm telling you that, because I think it's important that when people are saying, why are you rushing and why are you jumping on this property? This is the only option you've ever explored. It's not the only option.
Mrs. Candeletti, did you want to come up?
Rose Candeletti, 46 Hemlock Drive. Most of you made the decision to purchase a residential property to put a DPW in front of our yard. That will negatively affect us every day. Your decisions now affect me personally. As you are about to destroy everything we worked so hard for, as well as our quality of life. Someone keeps saying the DPW it runs and opens from 9 to 4. You should check your website because it says the DPW opens at 7 a.m. We were told to come to mayor and council meetings to get our concerns and our questions answered. I have been coming here for the last 2 months. I have not been able to get answers to any of my questions. After I speak, you make comments about something I say that you didn't like, but I get no substantial responses to any of my questions about this project. I even gave you, Mayor, a list of questions on April 18th at that meeting because you couldn't answer the questions then. You said you needed 2 weeks to respond. Last night was 2 weeks. You didn't have one answer for a question from me. Last night I spoke and I specifically stated, these are my questions. And your response to me was, I didn't hear her ask any questions. The questions I asked are not difficult to answer, okay? Most of them are a yes or no answer. They're questions that anyone purchasing property should be able to answer on the spot. I know when I buy property, I'm gonna do my due diligence even before I sign the contract. So I hope you all understand that this is a very personal issue for us, and not getting any straight answers to my questions is extremely upsetting, stressful, and the cause of my increased anger and frustration against this administration. As I said yesterday, I'd like to thank the mayor and council for finally agreeing with us that Charlie Brown's is not a good location for the DPW, and it should remain at its current location. We know now that the DPW can be accommodated at its current site, as shown in your new rendering. The DPW, which the caller already stated what I'm going to state, you have the ambulance building there. That can be converted to an office, even if it's temporarily for the DPW. And there's no need to uproot the police department at this immediate time. You can go back to your original plan of waiting and find what's a benefit, whether it's to renovate it. I mean, there's so many options. So many options were brought up tonight. Last week, 2 weeks ago, Paul brought up the fact that why don't you look into the good counsel where you got the equipment stored and see if you could purchase a piece of that land. So there are other options. So you wouldn't have to move up the plan. So you can actually back out of the purchase of Charlie Brown's. I know you keep saying that you don't have any other properties that you can buy, but there are other options. I mean, you've heard, you might not like them, but there are other options than putting it into a residential area. And I don't understand why you're trying to complicate the DPW issue by saying we have to build 2 facilities now, when technically you don't have to. Okay, if you really put your mind to it, you don't have to. There's a way to do it without doing it right now. And I think it's irresponsible for you to spend $1.35 million for a property and take it off a tax rateable, especially for a town service. As for the additional parking for the seniors, when you, as Mr. Cassio said, when you build a recreation center at the swim club, that would be perfect. Because Richfield, we lived in Richfield before we moved here 25 years ago. And Richfield did that years ago for their seniors. They built a rec center and had the seniors go there. So these are my questions tonight, and I hope you can answer some of them for me. Since the current DPW site can accommodate the new DPW, will you back out of the purchase of Charlie Brown's? You are now down to 40 days to back up this contract, according to Mr. Hall. I'm sure the Montessori school would go through with their original plan, since they spent a lot of money before you took the property away from them. If you don't get the votes that you need, this is my second question. If you don't get the votes you need to put a new police station at Charlie Brown's, will you go back to your original plan and put the DPW there? And if you go through with the purchase of this property for the police station, will you pass an ordinance that states this property you are acquiring at 95 Linwood Avenue will be solely used by the Township of Washington Police Department, and there will be no sharing of the property with the DPW for the DPW's use, storage of its equipment, or its supplies now or in the future? And how do you determine which gets passed? Is it just by the vote of the council, or does the public get a vote on which facility they would like? And when do you think you will
30 seconds,
know?
Mr. Candeletti.
Okay. When will you know your final decision on the Charlie Brown's property? Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like me to respond?
You could if you
Yeah,
like.
okay. I don't write very quick, so I will try, all the questions I wrote down, I will try and answer, and if I miss one, I apologize. We looked at many things. The ambulance building is not big enough to support the DPW operations, even from an office perspective. Just doesn't have the square footage in it. I asked, I'll say about a year ago, I asked OLGC if they were interested in selling us the piece of property where we currently store the equipment. They were not interested in selling that piece of property. My own, now it gets down to opinions of things. I would not be in favor of backing out of the purchase for reasons I've previously said. We don't have a lot of land in the township. It is all residential. Other than the shopping center, every piece of land is in a residential area. Would I, if the police doesn't work out, would I consider putting the DPW back there? Right now, I'm not prioritizing them. I'm coming up with proposals as I think of them, as the council thinks of them, and as the residents think of them. So I can't say that, it would be unfair until all the cost estimates are in to say that I'm favoring one plan over another at this point. When the cost estimates come in, I think we'll all be in a better position, having listened to everyone's concerns about, which way this is going to go. And so I hope I've answered all your questions. Thank you.
She did have one other question regarding the ordinance. If we were to make it a police department, would we put?
Yes, you're
Yes.
right. I don't even know you can control that by an ordinance, where property is going to be stored. It just doesn't sound like an ordinance type thing.
Okay.
Ms. Morgan, there was one other question regarding the vote determining what goes there, if anything. as of right now, it's not a referendum issue, so it's not a vote by the public, it's a vote by the governing body.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Just a second. Is there anyone else that hasn't come up yet that didn't come up? Okay, you can come up.
So just to the point, I did not come here
I'm sorry,
to.
can you restate your name?
Oh,
for the record?
Maria Elena Bellinger, 761 Paramus Road, Paramus. I did not come here to place blame on you not communicating with us, to clarify. What I came here to do was to show support for our residents that it impacts and ask you to communicate with us as you move forward in making this decision so that we can help each other. This exact property borders our residents. The hospital does not. The hospital is a state project. The hospital infrastructure for the exit was going to be separate and apart from Ridgewood Avenue and prior to. So all that aside, that is not what I came here to do. I'm in your shoes. I do not want any of you to think that I came here to place blame. I certainly know what this feels like. I know it's hard to find property and whatnot. I'm looking to be here as a partner to help in this process. And in doing that, part of why I wanted to get up and speak again, the 5-minute and not being able to speak again is tough when we don't get answers during the 5 minutes. And then also as something else comes up, there's a new question perhaps that comes up. That this is new to me. People get up to speak multiple times at our meetings. So I was not aware of that. But to help you as well as other things have come up, now that I'm learning that you're still, in between, whether it's a DPW or a police station, just to inform you as you move forward, Senator Lagana will be introducing legislation, a bill on Monday to prohibit any type of utility like this to be built within so many feet of residential property. So as you make this decision, understand that that could be something that then you're proceeding with that would prohibit you from doing that. So this is why I think it's important for all of us to kind of, as everyone keeps saying, communicate and be a part of the discussion, because I understand the limitations, I get it, but it is something that we're all, going to feel, and there are other pieces that need to be considered. And it's just an attempt to help you, not try and interfere with what you need to do for your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
That news about the senator is news. I'm going to reach out because I want to hear what the senator has to say. In a town that's 100% residential, how are we supposed to do our municipal business? So perhaps that hasn't been thought of. Like I said, Paramus has a lot of mixed locations and like that. Maybe the senator's not aware of towns like us that don't have these type. I don't want to, I'm not going back and forth, but I will reach out because I can't see how the senator would allow that to happen, because they're handcuffing us 100% from, doing improvements to our town, investing in the future of our town, not even just on this, but on something that might come up 5 years from now also. I don't see how that can happen in a town like ours.
Thank you. Yep. Say it again.
I said, since I went first, hopefully I'll be last
Yes.
and we can all go home.
Yep.
I'd like to thank Ken Pollard for his
Oh, sorry. So sorry. Name
Mary
and
Margaret Mia, 805 Highland Avenue.
Thank you.
Paramus.
Thank you.
That the bond specific can change to the police, because that had me deeply concerned, because I felt like I was getting bamboozled. The other thing, I find I just thought it was just a little funny that you said you hired a full-time architect, but then he had to put away some of his clients to help you put together this police department idea. If he's full-time, I'm not sure what the clients he has, but that's just one thing I just noticed. The other thing is to not do a traffic survey prior to, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. You made this decision and you're buying the property and you had all the architect done, but you never did a traffic analysis. That's kind of odd. Those are just my few statements in closing, as well as that, I think for such a big project, I understand it's going to be just your committee making the decision, but a lot of things that are affecting a lot of people should be probably a public. Yeah, I mean, if you want to maintain unity, at least people would feel like they had a say in your town. I couldn't vote on it, but thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you. So I just want to remind everyone that to your point, that is what we're doing. We are discussing it with the town. We are discussing it with the residents. There's a couple of options here, and we've even discussed maybe there are other options. There's nothing, we didn't make any decisions without the input of the town, aside from wanting to purchase the property for the reasons that the mayor stated. So we are doing that. I appreciate, at the very least, I think you guys can acknowledge that we are trying our best to have input from our residents, and we welcome input from Paramus and Ridgewood as well. Hence, you're at the meeting.
I just need to correct one thing you said. Our architect is not full-time. He is a town-appointed architect, but he is not full-time for our municipality. Yeah, and if I gave that impression, I apologize. Okay. Okay, my apologies then.
Okay. Oh, we do have another. Okay, come on up.
My name is Nader Minas, 207 Pond Terrace. I actually maintain two residences in Washington Township. I've been a resident since '82, so grew up into the system. Went to middle school on 3rd Avenue, high school, and all my siblings, my cousins, my entire community lives in Washington Township. Mayor, I voted for you, man. You are my neighbor, by the way. And I tell you what, the trucks that come in almost every other day, they're very loud, extreme loud. They're very offensive. They leave a lot of residue on the ground, and it's a mess. It's very smelly. So I just have one question. I just noticed the building, 9,000 square foot. Do we have a cost analysis on that? And second thing is that the entrance on that property where we're proposing the police station is, I noticed that when the cops leaving the exit by the town center, sometimes they have their sirens. It's very dangerous. I've seen cars almost jackhammer the cops. That's going to happen over here too. There's no traffic lights over here. So we are kind of putting our police officers, our proud, in danger. They could lose their lives, and you guys are going to be all responsible for it. So let's think about that. And my really question is, can we actually ask the architect to do a thorough study on how we can maintain the police department, the DPW, all in one location? We have a very central area here, and it works. It's fine. We don't need to spend $1.8 million. Don't quote me on that, but for a new resident, that's going to increase our taxes. It's going to increase mine and the senior citizen here. I feel sorry for them. It's going to go up. We're spending so much money on the swim club. We're spending money on the renovation. All of a sudden, we're like drunken sailors. I'm sorry, but that's what's happening here in this town. It's only 3.5 square miles, and we're competing with Ridgewood, Paramus, Montvale. We are a very small town. Let's keep it small. We're thinking big, but let's keep it small. Mayor, if you can just ask him a question that, if we can ask the architect to do a thorough study, let's give ourselves some time to put all these three departments together in one area, because it works. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's his name?
Can you tell me your name again? Okay, tell me your name one more time. Okay, thank you. Okay,
May I address
yes.
the gentleman? I believe your first question was on the cost analysis. As I said in the beginning of the meeting, I was working with the architect to have these plans ready for tonight's meeting. He could not do a cost analysis also for this meeting, because and maybe that's where the confusion came in earlier. He does have other clients, and I pulled him away because this was very important, and he understood that. So the cost analysis we'll get, I expect in the next week or so. Regarding having him look at things here, that's one of the first things we did. And everyone can have an opinion whether it works, because what works for me may not work for someone else. I personally don't see that it could work. I'm here every day, doing my business with the town. The parking lot is full every day. That's with DPW vehicles being stored behind Valley Bank and at OLGC. Those arrangements can't last indefinitely. So where do we put those vehicles? They would have to come back here. We can go up on the buildings perhaps, but again, we're talking about going up on buildings that are already quite old. And so, parking to me is a huge issue, because when the seniors have their meetings here, like I said, our employees are nice enough to give them the spots here, but the parking just doesn't work. If we have to bring all the DPW vehicles back here, there won't even be room for the employees anymore. And about the police department, they're tight for space. Like I said, we were hoping to at least get a couple years to spread the cost out. But how many times can we go up? We don't want a high rise up here either. So you respectfully say it works. I've been through this with the architect, and he agrees that it really doesn't work from a practical standpoint to have all the departments here. Our DPW needs more space. That was originally why we looked at the Charlie Brown's property. They need more space. They've been shoehorned up here for years. This council and previous ones have seen the need for them to have more equipment. They have that equipment, but obviously they need a place to store it. For all those reasons, I don't think we can do everything here. I think the proposal that we presented now, I'm going to say I like it. I think it checks off a lot of boxes. And so that would be I hope I answered your question.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, we're going to motion to close.
Can I just make one comment?
Sure.
In terms of, it came up before, in terms of the hours, DPW works 7 to 3:30. Those are the hours, and it just got confirmation, 7 to 3:30. And on the weekends, Saturday just till 1.
7 a.m. on Saturday?
9 to 1, correct,
Okay.
9. So it's not 9 to 4. I'm not sure what's on the website, but I definitely will review that. But 7 to
No, it is 7 to
3:30.
3:30 on the website, but somebody up here was saying it's not.
So, yeah,
I think
not
that's a
9 to
mistake
4.
on Saturdays. I think that's the day on Saturday, I think that's a mistake. And also keep in mind too, not that this is, most of our DPW employees are residents in town too, just so you know.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, motion to close. I'm sorry, did you have something else? Anyone have anything else on the dais to say? No. Who said so moved?
Tom?
All right, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, thank you.
No, he needs to you close the public comment. Motion to adjourn meeting?
Motion to adjourn meeting.
Yeah. Yes, almost go. Yes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.